All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Good to be back with you guys. I missed you terribly. Really butchered the entire last week, I'll be honest with you guys. I butchered it. It's on me. I'll wear it. It was just unfocused and really a poor plan by your old pal Woods. That's me, by the way. I'm Woodsy. To my right is the God dang it. Hang on.
Is this why they sometimes say the show is less listenable on certain days?
I don't think that's it.
Okay.
I don't think
Just
that's
wondering.
it. But I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's our executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning, Ben. How many emails did you get?
Any emails yesterday?
No, didn't get any emails
The
yesterday.
show must have been terrible.
Yeah, I
then.
guess it was.
You guys sounded great. I
Thank you.
I listened a lot and I watched a little bit too. I saw our beloved Joss filling in on Take on Wood. She did a great job. Ben Higgins to my left, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. But
I want to make clear,
Yeah.
I'm very glad to have you back. I think the show is actually better with you here.
Yeah, I mean, I do too, but it's everyone goes through everyone has their time in the blender. I was getting roasted last night from a Dodger fan that, was calling me a hack and this and that. All right, man. Like at the end of the day, I just wrote him. I said, buddy, I love you. I love you. I hope you have a great day. Let's just have a great day together. It's my new positive mindset, Ben, that I'm working on. But everybody brings something to the table. But then last night I was going to bed and went over to our Instagram messages and was perusing around, had a bunch in there I wanted to answer. And, a lot of guys bitching about the Padres. And I did see some really nasty messages about when my kids were in. My kids were in for 30 minutes last Wednesday, right? It was a week ago today. Today's Wednesday, yeah?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, they were in for 30 minutes last Wednesday. We had some fun with them. Bo had the greatest laugh on radio. Taylor got to play all the drops. It was a really fun segment. It was like a 20-minute segment out of a 4-hour show in which we talked nothing but the San Diego Padres. And I mean nothing. And then I looked at Instagram and Paulie had posted the clip. And I saw some nasty, nasty messages on there about my kids. And I went, wow, okay.
Look at his face.
Oh, hey.
What was that?
Play that one again.
Like that's right to the dome right there. You give me that.
Nuts.
Yeah. Give me that. Jam
What
that.
kind of sociopath,
Yeah.
like crazy person you have to be to hear that
Yeah.
and not smile?
Well, you have to be a really cold turd, I think, in my opinion, right? Like you're just a turd person. And I think you have a cold heart. If that doesn't do anything for you,
I could pull it off on the right day.
What?
But, have a cold enough heart. But I like it. It makes me smile.
yeah, I thought it was, and again, we're talking a 20-minute segment, maybe. So I'm looking at some of those messages going, God dang, dude, people really are kind of beat up these days. People are really, you're hurting. But I was scrolling through the messages and I got this one last night. I loved this one. I wanted to share it on the air for those of you that don't have social media because it's nice, man. It's nice when they get what you're trying to do. Got a message last night from a gentleman said the cathartic part of your show is we all feel the same. And it's the two voices in my head at once, Ben's unfounded optimism, waning of late, and Woods' relatable frustration. But what I love the most are the distractions, much needed. The trips, vacations, the music, the non-sports talk that makes me feel like a part of the family. So never change. I sincerely feel like the show keeps getting better and better. Hope you keep up the same formula/magic. Yeah, and I don't think the formula is going to change, even though, you do see some mean quotes and you're like, man, should I not bring my kids in? And then I'm thinking to myself, no, probably 85% of our audience has kids and they can relate. It's all about trying to be relatable. And yeah, that's the kind of stuff we want to do. We just want to have fun. We want to try to make you smile.
Now, I don't think you should bring your kids in every single morning.
Nor do I.
It's,
I'm not. It's overkill.
It's a once a year, once every few months kind of thing, and then it's great.
Yeah.
A little change of pace, and you're always looking for that in the morning.
Well,
sometimes.
it's like anything. You can talk about anything or expand on anything too much, and so yeah, we try to be diligent about what we're giving our audience every day. But it was a nice message that was sprinkled in with some really kind of mean messages, dude.
My favorite. I clapped back at somebody yesterday. There's one guy in the chat that really hates Jake and Jordan from Cespedes.
Oh yeah,
Barbecue.
yeah. I've seen that guy before.
And he pops up only on once a week during the one segment and complains that we're talking AL East or something. I'm like, buddy, did they hurt you? This is a baseball show. This is a sports radio show. One time a week we get two funny, engaging,
great dudes,
popular guests that are knowledgeable about the game of baseball. And yes, we talk about the entire sport.
Sure.
And he's like, I just want Padres talk. I'm like,
okay.
I mean, yeah, we got you for the other 3.5 hours of the show.
Yeah, it's the hardest part of this gig because you never know who's listening and when. And knowing who we are, I try to be a pleaser. If you called me and said, would you talk bullpen right now? I'd say, absolutely. Let's talk bullpen. So we would do that. But then there's a guy in his car that's like, I don't want to hear about the bullpen. I want to hear about that documentary you watch. You know what I mean? So you can never make everybody happy. So you have to kind of block out the noise. That's why being away from Twitter for a while, but this was all these mean messages were on Instagram.
I've noticed this year that the meanness quotient is as high as it's ever been. I've been in San Diego for my whole life. I've been in the public eye on television for 20 years and social media for the last, 13, 14 years. And never have I seen as much venom as I have in the last couple of months. Now, what's your definition of anger again?
Hurt, sadness, fear. It's not mine.
Hurt, sadness, fear. The one that you brought to the show, though. It always resonated with me the first time you said that. I do feel like that the high expectations for this baseball season, that it really got everyone in the community so fired up and excited. And then the disappointment, the fear that we're not going to be able to enjoy a postseason in October we looked forward to. That's fear. That's sadness about all of the day-to-day losses and tough watches that we've had. That's sadness that we're getting. It all combines together into anger, and you can't always direct it. I mean, you don't know players are listening. We're probably listening, though, and we're probably seeing it. So we get a lot of it, and I try to remember that as a Padres fan, I feel that as well. And if we help you out, even if you're being mean out there by occasionally misdirecting your anger at someone that probably doesn't totally deserve it, I'm gonna be okay with that and live with that and just say that's part of the reason we do this. Is we know everyone's frustrated.
Yeah.
And we want to be that outlet. It's also a function of, I think we have a growing audience. And, the more people you have out there, the more a chance you have of running into someone who's just a little ticked off on a certain morning. We all have bad mornings and bad days where we're just feeling icky. And, hey, I'd rather have you take it out on a nasty tweet to me than, be mean to your family or kids at home because the Padres lost. So, hey, I'll wear that from time to time.
I too would rather you take it out on a mean tweet to Ben than your family's. But no, it's just, you're right, man. The nastiness has reached an all-time high, and it's just wild, man. I was like, one guy said, that's why I don't listen anymore, because Woods talks about his kids, and I'm like,
fine.
But I'm like, number one, my kids are rad, and I'm going through this fatherhood thing. You know how many people in our audience, Ben, have kids my age? I see them all the time. Woodsy, my kid's starting Little League today. It's just as a little Bo. It's so relatable. And you know what? You know how much I glean from them? You know how much I gather from talking to other parents with kids my age? Do you know how many tips I get from parents, some wanted, some unwanted? When they say it takes a village, that's what Ben and Woods. That's what I want Ben and Woods to be, a village. Well, and really, you can disagree with me about my baseball takes, but I'm never going to stop talking about the two funniest dudes in my life. That, by the way, do and say things that you could never imagine. I mean, it's just unless you have kids.
I would say that the entire audience either has kids your age, kids more my age, or no kids like Paulie.
Exactly right.
You can't relate to someone on the show.
You're going to get something that makes sense. I mean, and
you got young kids, old kids, or no kids.
Or dogs.
Or you used to have old kids, or you used to have young kids. Yeah. I mean,
it's wild, man.
We all are on this spinning globe and getting through it day to day and just doing the best that we can.
But that message last night, man, whoever sent it. His name's in Instagram. I didn't post his name. I thank you for that so much. It's so nice to when someone truly gets it. Like they go, bro, I know exactly what you guys are trying to do. And I love it.
We got a live one here.
Oh, do we?
Rick says in the chat, although it's hilarious when Paul tried to talk sports, knowing he doesn't know anything about sports, if he doesn't have to read from what somebody else wrote.
Don't know what that means.
Don't either.
Although it is hilarious when Paul
Am I not
tried
supposed to read like Kevin Acey's newsletter?
to talk sport, knowing he doesn't know anything about sports if he doesn't have to read it from what somebody else wrote. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know, Paulie. Hey, Rick, you're hurt. It's okay. We love you. Take a deep breath. You're not mad at Paulie. You're not mad at me. You're not mad at Ben.
Oh, he says he was the same one that said the thing on Instagram about your kids.
Oh, all right. Well, lick my taint. How about that then, Rick?
And with that, let's get going on a Wednesday morning. It's good to have everybody with us. Obviously, last night was
gargle my balls.
Was one of those nights that I meet with a little more measured joy than I did previously.
Wait, you had measured joy last night? I had
wasn't-
full, unadulterated. It was baseball sex
I'm
last night.
afraid to get unbridled joy from this team at this point.
I screamed when Gary hit that ball, Ben. I screamed so bad I shredded my throat.
Well, you scream because you feel like that's the moment that turns things around. But we've been fooled so many times about thinking, oh, this team's finally figured it out, only to see them come back and score 0 or 1.
Oh, I mean,
the next day.
Today's gonna suck. You
See,
know that.
that's the thing.
But in the moment,
it's harder to get excited when you can't. You can't
What's
project.
the maximum your bookie will take on the under?
Dude, seriously. But that's like saying, like, you know, you're going to be hungover when you go out and pound a bunch of whiskeys and you're like, I mean, we know the hangover's coming today, but it doesn't mean you enjoy your Friday night any less when you're out raging with your buddies, knowing, tomorrow's going to suck. Now it sticks in the back of your mind a little bit, but while you're out there Friday night and the drinks are flowing, you're having a good time. That was me last night, having a great time.
Got a little Victory Wednesday treat for everyone. We're going to be giving away a Ha-Sung Kim bobblehead. I know people are excited about those coming up in our next segment, so stay tuned for that. Daily Ditty is coming up next, and we had a major,
all-time,
never before happened surprise in the Incorporator.
Can we just say
one Jesse Agler and Bob Scanlon last night?
And please believe us when we say we had nothing to do with this. Nothing. We did not set this up.
If you didn't hear it and you were maybe listening yesterday when we set up the Incorporator and you didn't hear what happened, do not go away because we're going to play it for you next. We were all floored by what happened in last night's game on the broadcast. Get to that coming up. It is an Adam Jones Wednesday. Former Oriole will join us, the 5-time All-Star at 7:35. And speaking of Orioles, she covers that team, D.C. area for The Athletic. One of the better baseball writers we've got going. Britt Ghiroli is going to be with us at 9 o'clock this morning. So good show. It is a Victory Wednesday. We're glad to have everybody with us.
Will Paulie be talking sport today? Because that's what I want to hear.
Or he'll just be reading what other people have written about sports today.
No. Sport. Paulie reads sport is one of my new ideas for the big board. Thank you, Rick, for that. Paulie reads sport.
Let's make it a good one, everybody. Let's check traffic. We'll be right back with more Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3, The Fan, sports station.
Sport. What a jam this is. Fanagram. And I remember my program director at the time when I worked next door. So now I got new ad. Adding a new band. I said, what's the name of the band? He said, Fanagram. I go, all right, what is it? Well, it's like electronic. I go, oh my God, all right. Fine, more electronica on an alternative station. Let's do it. And then I played it and I went, oh yeah, do you have the CD? He's like, yeah. I was like, cool, because I'm going to take it home and listen to it. Fell in love with it. And this is Fantagram, and it's The Day You Died is the name of the song. They played one of our shows at FM 94.9, and they crushed it on stage too. So really, really good stuff. That is Fantogram, Benjamin.
Very good.
Didn't think I would like it just based on the name.
We all have preconceived biases.
Preconceived notions, yes, absolutely.
I think it's a sign of an enlightened mind. No one is ever not gonna have some preconceived notions.
Sure.
You are a human being. You will go into any situation with some biases.
This is gonna suck. This is gonna be great.
I think the sign of an enlightened mind is that you can recognize, at the very least, that you have some of those biases, and every once in a while, you can overcome them and change your mind.
No question. I have preconceived biases and notions about what's going to happen in tonight's game.
I do as well. I could see the Padres winning tonight with Blake Snell on the mound. Sure. He pitches well, and they put 2 wins in a row. Then Rich Hill pitches against Zach Gallen tomorrow, and I'm going, what are we doing here?
Right.
And Bob Melvin made it clear yesterday before the game, by the way. It's
Hill starting.
Still Rich Hill tomorrow. Mm-hmm. He's not going to lose faith in a guy who's pitched in baseball for 20 years just because he had a couple of bad starts to begin. And quite frankly, that's enlightened thinking of Bob Melvin in a way. It's just going to be really aggravating and frustrating for Padres fans if he goes out and for the third straight start gives out a bunch of runs early, puts him in a hole. We know how poorly this team plays when they fall behind early. And you can bring in Pedro Avila in the third inning and he can throw 4 or 5 shutout frames, but you can't come back. You're putting yourself in a really bad spot in games that, against the Diamondbacks, a team that now you absolutely have to win at least 3 out of 4 in this next series to chase down one of the teams ahead of you. You just lost 2 or 3 to them. Probably need to win all 4, but at least 3 out of the 4. In your first game, you're going to be throwing Rich Hill, who has shown you next to nothing in his first 2 starts with the San Diego Padres. That's what I'm more worried about. Today, you're playing a good team. Anything can happen. You got a good pitcher on the mound. Fine. Tomorrow, obviously, I'm already nervous about it.
Well, I mean, I tweeted the other day. I'm like, I guess Rich Hill was fine because it wouldn't have mattered because we scored 0 runs anyway. That being said, I don't know that I've ever seen somebody give up 3 runs with more balls hit hard. I mean, he was insanely lucky to get out of there with just 3 runs. That was an 8-run performance. Maybe his crafty wit and guile is what kept them to 3. Because they were hitting nukes off that guy. Now, fast forward to last night's game. We'll get into that next. But Padres, that score should have had about 12
Jack
more
Flaherty
runs.
Was fortunate to get out of there with like 7 allowed last night.
Jack Flaherty and Rich Hill. I mean, it was the same type of thing. There were nukes being hit all over that ballpark last night. So, I agree with you 100%. I don't get it. This is one of those dynamics in baseball where it makes you question who's in charge, doesn't it? It makes you question, where is this order coming from?
I don't know that it makes me question that. It just makes me question, I guess, just the process of how decisions are made in any baseball team. I don't think there's someone in the Padres organization, whether it be AJ Preller or the sabermetrics department, who's going, what's the way we can most likely lose this game?
Right.
Is it throw Rich Hill and let's throw him out there? I know they want to win, and they do believe that, hey, this guy has a history. We acquired him for a reason. They believe the best chance for the Padres to have success the rest of this season, I promise you, is by throwing Rich Hill in that game and not Pedro Avila.
Well, it's funny, man, because the Angels went out and traded Lucas Giolito, who's been horrific. Bombed again last night. They're going to start him every 5th day. Now, in my mind, and I think in the audience's mind, they don't look at Rich Hill and Lucas Giolito as the same. They don't. Maybe they should. Maybe they should. Maybe the starting pitcher you acquired at the deadline is going to start games for you, and that's just how it is. I don't think it needs to be that way.
I mean, you can't throw away every pitcher who has a bad start or
Correct.
two. Yu Darvish would be done. Blake Snell would have been
Correct.
done earlier this season. You'd never get a chance to see anybody.
No question.
Joe Musgrove had a couple of bad ones. You do have to give guys a chance to get their footing and throw well.
Is it the age? Are we ageist?
A little bit, yeah.
I think we're
we are.
ageist.
Yeah.
I think we are too.
We don't feel like he's on the upward track of his career.
Like even Giolito, you feel like, dude, he could dig deep and throw a 2-hit shutout tonight, right? Because we've seen it from him before. We saw it from Rich Hill in 1979. That's true.
He's also had a few pretty good starts this year for the Pittsburgh Pirates. 7 innings, 1 run, 6 innings, no runs. He's had a few good ones this year.
None here, though.
None here,
None
of
here.
course.
And
that's our recent bias. All right, before we get into last night's game, I want to. Okay, this was the setup for the Incorporator with Jesse yesterday. You weren't here, Woods.
No, I missed it.
Paulie picked the word, just kind of changing things up a little bit with you out. And Jesse was into it as always. So here we go.
Jesse, your word today, it's a noun, and the word is snickersnee.
Snickersnee.
Which is a large knife, especially one used as a weapon. Snickersnee.
Sure.
I mean,
So we're cutting things back-to-back weeks.
Exactly.
yeah,
Cutting things
I did
up.
chiffonade the week before,
Yep.
chopping things up finely like herbs. Now snickersnee for Jesse last night. And what happened, if you weren't listening, this is what, the first inning, Paulie?
First inning. Should I just spill everything here?
Spill it.
So Jesse texted me right as the game was starting in the first inning. He said, "What was the word again?" Sent it over to him. Says, "Thank you." 7 minutes later, he says, "Oh, you guys think you're so clever." I go, "What?"
I mean, we do sometimes.
I mean, yeah.
but we don't know
I
what
was
you're
like,
talking about.
Wait a second.
What?
I was like, this wasn't like a dirty word. We weren't trying to get you. We weren't trying to trick you at all.
Yeah, it doesn't mean like fart or something
Yeah.
in a different language.
And I said, well, whatever you're thinking, I promise you, we did not think of that. Like, I just Googled funny words. And he goes, no, with Scanlon.
What?
And I go, what? And here's what happened in the bottom of the first inning yesterday.
And Soto swings, hits it foul off the end of the bat in the air, and out of play left side. 1-1 on the Padre left fielder.
So just if I can finish just my little story about the Saracen and the Arabian warrior. What was really cool about him is he carried a big scimitar with him, almost like a snicker seat type sword with him. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a big, long sword.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
You can use it obviously in battle, or if you need to chiffon some different herbs or spices.
but they're the Wolverines now.
1-1 pitch, fouled back, 1-2.
But it's kind of cool. There were several great players. Max Fried, of course, along with Jack Flaherty and others that have come out of that school since long after I was there.
You got like a secret handshake you do when you say hi, anything like that?
Yeah, we got a special tie.
Sheath your snicker sneeze and then shake hands.
Just legends, both of them. Just incredible.
So what happened, Paulie? How did Bob? That wasn't just random, obviously.
He says, Jesse said, Scans brought it up in the bottom of the first, and I rolled with it. And then I used it again myself right after.
Right.
I said, you're kidding me. And then they went to commercial break after the half of the inning, and he said, Scan was listening yesterday morning during that segment on his way to an appointment or whatever, and heard, I think you even brought him up, like you name checked Bob. You're like, so Jesse, you're again with Bob today? Like, that's your goal. Try to sneak this one past Bob Scanlon. Scanlon heard that and goes, I'm going to beat him to the punch.
That's incredible.
First
Look
inning.
at Bob. He's got
Took
ears
it-
everywhere.
Took it upon himself and made a bit better. Made the bit better. The look on Jesse's face must have been priceless. I love it. He just totally
With him. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a big, long sword.
Sure, yeah.
It's incredible.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, sure.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I know what it is. You son of a bitch.
I've heard of that. I
Incredible.
learned that today, as a matter of fact.
Just
The
brilliant.
same way you did, Bob.
Brilliant.
All right, we'll get to our Padres wrap-up. Lots of runs last night. First, though, it is time to give away a Ha-Sung Kim bobblehead. Yeah, the one that the Padres are going to be giving away next week. You have an opportunity to win one right now from Ben and Woods. Be the fifth caller, 833-288-0973. You can get a Ha-Sung Kim bobblehead on next Wednesday's game, August 23rd. Coming up. The bobblehead giveaway is actually on August 22nd on Tuesday during the game against the Miami Marlins. So tickets are still available at Padres.com. They got a bunch of great giveaways left in this homestand and tickets to be had. The theme game Dawn and Mud Night. The hoodie is tonight. They got City Connect game on Friday. Lots of stuff still coming up. But if you want to win a Ha-Sung Kim bobblehead, call now 833-288-0973. We'll come back. This hour of Ben and Woods brought to you by the Golf Mart. Padres Wrap-Up is next on 97.3 The Fan. Stick around. Congratulations to Chris. Called in, won the Ha-Sung Kim bobblehead. I think we're going to have more to give away, though, in the coming days. So to keep listening, I know maybe the hottest giveaway item of the season. Now, there's been a lot of really good giveaway items. I feel like the buzz about the Ha-Sung Kim bobblehead been just a little bit extra.
I believe we have one to give away every show between now and next Tuesday, where that is the giveaway night.
Been getting my ass worn out at home about that giveaway. So
if you didn't win, keep listening to 97.3 The Fan. I think the other shows
Can
have.
I call in?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You won't.
Hello, this is Bill.
Right now, you couldn't get through. Every line is full, though. You get a busy signal at the
Do you
moment.
know the number?
Hello,
What's
this
the
is
number?
Chris. 833-288-0973.
Oh, very good, Woods. Very good. This hour, by the way, on The Fan is brought to you by BalancePro.org. Are you planning to purchase a home this year? Balance offers pre-purchase counseling and education to help get you ready. Make a free appointment with Balance by visiting BalancePro.org today or call 1-888-456-2227. All right, it was a celebratory moment last night at Petco Park. Finally happened. There was only 2 teams that had not hit a grand slam as of last night. Now there is one. We'll get to our Padres wrap-up right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the premier auto family, here's Kelly Tannick.
Traffic is sponsored by 7-Eleven. Got a crash on the westbound 52 just past Mast Boulevard. One vehicle in the center divide, one over to the right shoulder. Also traveling on eastbound 8 just past the 805. Watch out for some large debris in middle lanes. And stalled car on the eastbound King Freeway just before 28th Street. That is in the center divide. Small cherry Slurpee drinks are only $1 at 7-Eleven. It's a drink so full of fruity flavor that the amazing price is just the cherry on top. Stop into 7-Eleven to get any small Slurpee drink for $1. Slurpee, anything flows. I'm Kelly Danik with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I love winning, man. I love winning. You hear what I'm saying? It's like better than losing.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Miss any of yesterday's Padres game?
Did you catch a game last night?
Well, we've got you covered.
Thank you.
It's the Padres Wrap-Up with Ben and Woods.
Let's go! It's our house right here, baby.
Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else. On 97.3 The Fan.
That is the ball game, and that is a winner.
It's about damn time.
And that's it in the air to right field. Santander's going back. He's at the wall. This one gonna go. First grand slam of the season for the Padres comes on August 15th. It comes off the bat of Gary Sanchez. And the Padres have a 5-0 lead in the first. Runners will go on 3-2. Here's the pitch to Machado. That's hit in the air down the left field line. Long run, Hayes not going to get there. Now it bounces behind him. Bautista scored. Soto's going to come in as well. Manny ends up at second base. 2 more runs and a 7-0 Padre lead. 1-1 to Cooper, laced into left center field, a base hit. Bogarts will come in to score. Sanchez is on his way to third base. He'll be held there. It's another double. Garrett Cooper is standing at second, and the Padres an 8-0 lead in the fifth. Here's the 2-2 pitch. And that's it in the air to deep right field. Long way to go. Santander on the move, looks up over his head, and it bounces over the fence for another double. 2 runs will score. It's 10-0, and the Padres with 6 doubles in fewer than 5 full innings.
Yeah, I mean, made a really, really good pitcher work. 2 innings, really. 70-some pitches, but, made him work to where, Gary's up there just trying to get a good pitch to hit, not trying to do too much. A lot of stuff's away to the righties. And so someone talked to me today about last time we had a grand slam, and glad they did.
Well, Padres, Bob Melvin, as I tweeted last night, it's irresponsible of him to allow the team to score 10 runs at this point, because we know what happens the next day. After a 10-run performance, I believe half of the time, so they've had 12 double-digit outputs. Half of the time, they've either gotten shut out or scored 1 the next day this season. So it's pretty much a 50-50 chance of 0 or 1 in today's series finale now.
Did I see this right? Is this right? Every run they scored last night was with 2 outs. Is that correct?
I think it was.
That is unbelievable. That is a statistical
but,
anomaly.
You know what? It was what we had been looking for in terms of battling at best. You get the first inning, you get the leadoff double by Ha-Seong Kim, and it looks like, they're going to waste another rally. They had 2 quick outs.
Randy roll over to short, and then Soto.
I assume the next guys are all going to press because they want to get Ha-Seong Kim in desperately. He's been sitting out there all inning. We haven't been able to move him. We're going to leave him out there, and it's going to be all the same stuff over again. But what happened? No, Manny Machado fought, fouled off pitches, waited, drew a tough walk against Jack Flaherty, and then Xander Bogaerts did the same thing, and then Jay Cronenworth did the same thing. Walk, drove in the run, and, obviously tired Jack Flaherty out. It was a very long, 30-pitch first inning. Gary Sanchez gets, the pitch to hit finally and goes the other way with it, and the Padres end their streak at 363 days without a grand slam.
Welcome to Slam Diego!
Nearly a year anniversary of the Padres' last slam, which was by Jake Cronenworth, and they get out to the 5-0 lead, add on a little bit with Manny in the next inning to make it 7-0, and then that was a 2-out bloop hit to left field, and then you had the 2-out doubles by the newcomers, Garrett Cooper and Ben Gamel in the 5th, and that was all your scoring, all with 2 outs, all 10 runs last night.
I tell you what, man, the Cronenworth AB was the one for me that did it because he worked it in his favor, and he got his fastball, but both fastballs he got were really firm. They were up, and they were away. Now, they were strikes, not one that you can typically barrel, though. I mean, they were really nice pitches by Flaherty. And they were talking about, Tony was talking about on the broadcast last night. He's like, look, man, Flaherty is not giving in. That's why you're seeing him miss with that slider away on a 3-1 pitch or whatever. Like, he was not going to give in and just throw a cookie. Those ABs right there were beyond patient. They were really, really sexy ABs.
It's a really good point because Jake has had a great month of August after a really rough first 3 months of the season. And the biggest difference to me is he had so much trouble with the high fastball earlier this season. And it's not like he's murdering it now.
Right.
But you know what he's doing? He's fouling him off now.
Yep.
He's just getting a piece of it to stay alive, and then he's reacting and going the other way. When he gets him off speed, he's staying back, and he's driving it, out to left center. He's going the other way on those pitches that he can hit. But you've got to get to the pitches you can hit.
You have to.
And sometimes that just means making contact and spoiling the pitches you can't hit. And to me, it's a subtle thing, but it's what Jake Cronenworth has done night and day differently here in the month of in August now.
And that's the thing that, when people watch Soto and his ABs, I mean, I can't remember who we were talking to a couple of weeks ago. I think it was probably Eno, how he just, when he's going poorly, which he is a little bit now, he's in a little bit of a mini slump for him. He will not swing at the pitch that he can't do damage to, and he has been a little bit. Did it a couple times last night.
And I think Soto sometimes gets a good observation, Woods, because I think Soto sometimes gets hurt when he's struggling by the fact that he's so good that he doesn't foul off those tough pitches. He actually puts them in play, and they end up being those little dribblers to the second baseman or the first baseman, a pitch that a lot of other guys would barely tick off foul and they get to keep going.
Yeah, he rolls it over.
One actually is so good that he makes contact and rolls over on those ones. So it almost hurts him that he's got such great bat control and such great skill at the plate sometimes that those actually hurt him when he swings at those. So, but yeah, Jake's been night and day different. Fernando had 3 hits last night. I still don't feel like Fernando's doing Fernando-like damage at the plate.
No, he's just not. It's just not there yet. The numbers aren't terrible by any stretch. I think he's probably. They were talking about it again. He's probably a little bit more banged up, than he lets on. Did not have a terrific night out in center field last night. And again, I think Fernando Tatis Jr., if you wanted to convert him to catcher and you started now, I think he'd be ready for spring training. No BS. If you wanted to convert him to a middle reliever or a closer, there's nothing that man cannot do between those lines. Nothing.
You're not suggesting they do that, but yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to train him to be a point guard, he could probably be a pretty damn good one.
And if you do want to move him to center field, he looked ragged, but he'll get there. Give give him the spring training, give him a few weeks, just like in right field. He'll get there. He's not seeing it correctly on some of those, especially not well-struck balls, and it led to a couple of balls falling in that I think Trent Grisham would have gotten at least one of them, if not both of them, but he gets to be out there every day, and he has years of experience reading those plays. Fernando's been out there a handful of times.
Yeah, I'm not too worried
He'd
about
be
it.
fine given some time if that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah, it's just reps. It's just reps. He just needs reps out there. But, as far as him at the plate, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to rag a guy for getting 3 knocks last night. You know what I mean? That's not the day to do it. But you're right. It doesn't look the same. And again, I do think he's probably a little bit more banged up than he's letting on. They were talking to him with the big ice on his shoulder the other night. And, the guy had 2 surgeries. People forget, and he's playing every single day. And I'm not terribly worried about him. The thing about Fernando, where's the best spot for him to hit? Where's the best spot for Juan Soto to hit? Where's the best spot for Manny to hit? Ha-Seong Kim has really cemented himself to be a damn good leadoff hitter, and you feel really good when you see him stride to the plate. So, honestly, can't go this segment without mentioning Michael Wacha and the great work that he did last night, even getting squeezed like a madman on a bunch of calls. Wacha was fantastic. So good having him back. What a nice change of pace that was.
Ridley did look like he hadn't missed a beat, which surprised me a little bit.
I wanted to wrap my arms around him, Paulie, and
so
maybe
great.
one leg at the bottom. You know what I mean? It was so good to see him out there last night. Went 5 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 5 Ks.
77 pitches. Bob said later, Melvin, that he was pretty much on an 80 pitch count. So
if you didn't know that and you were mad at Bob Melvin, that was the entire plan for a guy with, by the way, it's not like he was coming off a calf injury. He was coming off tired shoulder. So 77 really effective pitches, 5 really effective innings. Brilliant night for him. And bullpen did their job, save for Luis Garcia. But at the end of the day, that's his spot. People were like, DFA Garcia. And I'm like, no, dude, leave him for these games. That's what you need to do. That's his spot.
When it comes to Michael Wacha, I pointed out last night, I got some interesting responses. The Padres will have a decision to make on Michael Wacha at the end of the year, and it's not as simple as you might think. Michael Wacha's contract is kind of weird in that
complicated.
In that at the end of this season, the Padres will make a decision, and they can exercise their option to bring Michael Wacha back. I'm sure you're going, well, obviously they're going to. He's had a 20-4 record now over the last 2 seasons with the Red Sox and the Padres. Best winning percentage in baseball. Where would they be without Michael Wacha, you say? However, if they exercise the option, it's $16 million for 2024. And then it also is $16 million for 2025. You have to either pick up both of them or neither of them.
It's a pretty good deal for him. And for him to be pitching the way he is right now, it's a damn good deal.
Yes, but the concern about Michael Wacha remains the same concern as always. He's had a career filled with injuries, and he's rarely available for the number of starts that you'd want to count on
for
a starter.
For a $16 million starter.
Well, for $16 million, for a $6 million starter, it's a no-brainer. And that's what his player option is. If the Padres decline their $16 million team option, he gets a $6 million player option. He could come back, but
he's not going to do that.
My guess would be that if the Padres decline, he will also decline and find a much better deal somewhere else than $6 million. So
here's what
you're kind of right in the middle there, that I don't know that I need $32 million committed to Michael Wacha the next 2 years, but I also don't want to lose him. And I think you would if you decline that option.
Here's what I'm looking at. The unrestricted free agents for next season, Ben. Shohei Ohtani, he's a pretty good arm, I'd say. Marcus Stroman's got a $21 million player option. I would imagine he's probably going to take that. Yeah, probably pick that one up. Clayton Kershaw is unrestricted free agent. Hyunjin Ryu, 36 years old, unrestricted free agent. Martin Perez is an unrestricted free agent. He makes about $20 million a year. Adam Wainwright is an unrestricted free agent. He's pretty much done. Eduardo Rodriguez has an opt-out for $18 million. Julio Urias is an unrestricted free agent, making $14 now. He's going to be making a lot more than that, I would imagine. So you're not looking at a ton of guys where you can say, well, it's no problem if Wacha walks. We can go get somebody.
But is that the money that you might allocate toward a Blake Snell contract next year?
Correct.
As well. You've got to think about that also.
There's some interesting names. Jordan Montgomery is a really interesting name. He's a really good pitcher, man, and he's making 10 now, but he's going to get a fat raise. A lot of these guys are going to be Sonny Gray, unrestricted, but he's going to make more than 10. Blake Snell, unrestricted. He's going to make a lot more than 10. So there's some names, there's some projects, there's some guys that you probably don't want to look at, but I think with Waka, it's 16 a year. My heart tells me yes, but my head says we know what's going to happen.
I got a mix of responses. I got people who said, absolutely, he's been a steal. You've got to bring him back. Your pitching staff is already going to be thin. I had people who said, yeah, you got a great deal. Why now overpay for him the next couple of years? Take your win and walk away from the table.
Yeah, do it the Patriot style.
And then I saw some interesting people who said, maybe you can negotiate with them on something in between, like, hey, we decline it, but we sign you for 12 or 13 somewhere in there.
Why is he going to take less than he can get on the open market?
I don't know. If he can get more than that, he'll say no. So you're in danger of losing him if you do that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, 1 hour in the books. All guests on Ben and Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet find new roads. Can Woods match Joss yesterday and take on Woods? That's coming up next.
Got a tweet, Benny, from J Fries 46. Says that Ben and Woods is re-signing Sanchez, a no-brainer. I think that is a no-brainer. Now,
God, he's been fun to watch.
he
man.
is,
Like,
and this isn't Grand Slam bias, guys. I mean, that's his 16th homer.
When's the last time a guy was picked up like off waivers, like just out of nowhere?
third
for the
team?
Padres, at least.
Right.
When was the last time we brought in a guy like that, not acquired via trade, not a free agent signing in the offseason, and came out and produced like this?
Gangbusters. Man.
I know the last time it happened in baseball was last year when Matt Carpenter did it for the Yankees.
That is
I've
true.
heard of Matt Carpenter.
That is true, Benjamin.
And then I believe he went on to San Diego the next year, and I'd have to look it up, but I don't think he's done
much
as well as he did with the Yankees. So that is a concern about Gary Sanchez. Like Matt Carpenter, 3 or 4 really bad years, then all of a sudden a great summer of power, of incredible, pop, all just out of nowhere. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen again next year for Gary Sanchez.
I wouldn't say it's, again, I wouldn't say it's out of nowhere, right? Like he's done it before. It had been a while.
But Carpenter had a really good career. Good career.
But not the home runs and the
power was a little bit of an outlier, but the overall offensive production was very solid for a decade or so. And then, 2019, 2020, 21, 2022, you just saw this steady decline until 2022 when he made his comeback with the Yankees, looked fantastic, parlayed it into a $12 million deal with the Padres, and had gone unused since July 24th until last night when he came in and struck out as a pinch hitter in a 10-1 game.
Yeah, he just finished that swing, by the way. That was the swing of a man that has not seen live pitching in 3 weeks.
I'm not trying to rain on Gary Sanchez's parade or even say that it's necessarily a bad idea. Padres need another catcher next year. I assume Luis Camposano is coming back.
You look at Campy and Sanchez, and I'll tell you what, if you re-sign Blake Snell, you have to bring back Gary Sanchez because that's his guy now. Their work together has been spectacular. That to me is what's been really pleasing. I followed Gary when he was in New York. You didn't hear much in the way of praise from pitchers with the way he handled them. You didn't hear, some of the guys that threw to him say, "Oh, love it. I am so comfortable throwing to Gary." It was always kind of an issue. And the fact that Snell and a lot of guys have pitched really well to Gary, Ben, it speaks volumes about what he's done.
And I don't think Gary's getting like a 4-year deal, but I did see people talking that, it may be more than just a 1-year deal now. He may want like a 2-year guaranteed.
Yeah, wouldn't you?
I would as well. But now we're all of a sudden, okay, you're picking up Michael Wacha's option, right. $16 million. You're paying Gary a couple, whatever years, 10, 15 million, whatever that is. You're paying a lot of money just to bring back a team that has been immensely disappointing this year. And I get everyone is on an individual basis. They're not immensely disappointing because of either Michael Wacha or Gary Sanchez.
Shouldn't the guys that did their job be rewarded or just let somebody else reward?
And I don't disagree with you, but we're going to go into this offseason and the fans are going to be clamoring, how are you going to improve this roster? And right now we're spending all of the money just to try to bring back Blake Snell, Gary Sanchez, and Michael Wacha. There's not going to be much room to do anything else if you bring back all 3 of those guys. Because
we don't know that.
Don't know that. I don't know that for sure, but
you said that last year.
Unless you want to spend even more than go past the Mets and become the number 1 payroll in baseball.
You also
that's up to Peter Seidler. It really is.
But you also have guys coming off the books. Drew Pomeranz, I believe, is off the books.
True.
And Josh Hader will more than likely be off the books. I mean,
But when you talk about guys like Wacha, Snell, and Sanchez, that still doesn't even account for Juan Soto, Hassan Kim, who are free agents after next year.
So
Hassan Kim's going to get a payday.
I'm just pointing out, not that it's not impossible, but it's going to be pricey just to keep a team together that is 6 games under 500 here in the middle of August.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Jeremy says regarding Sanchez, it's the same philosophy you just talked about with Wacha. Take the win. Walk away from the table. I understand it. I do. I hope that would not mean then Austin Nola, who's still under contract. You start the season with Nola and Campy again, like you were going to do this year. Who knows? I mean, I hate to say, it's impossible, but it certainly doesn't feel great.
No,
this guy's
mean,
earned it. And again, depending on
you feel like Campy would come in as the de facto starter with the bulk of the playing time in a situation like that if Gary Sanchez did depart. But
now he gets hurt again.
You need another option. You need more than just those two guys coming into spring training.
I don't think Ethan Salas is quite ready.
No.
In the perfect world, the utopian brain,
Gary 2 years, and then Ethan Salas is ready to come in.
Yeah, that's it.
That makes sense.
It does. In the utopian, like the pie in the sky, that's how it should work.
Need a contestant for Take on Woods. We saw an epic performance by Joss from down the hall yesterday. Her first perfect 5 for 5. You were listening.
Yeah.
Would you have gotten any of those correct?
I would have gotten all of them.
Oh, you would have. Yeah. After the fact, it's always easy to play the game at home.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a little tougher in that chair.
And plus you gave her the category.
I did. But you won't get the category today. Our contestant will, if you want to try to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas, call right now, 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Play our game here in about 2 or 3 minutes. Maybe the Padres just should have been in the American League this year. I know the American League is much tougher. You look at their wild card race, the Padres would be 10, 12 games out of a playoff spot. But, man, have they done well in interleague play.
Yeah, they have.
They are now, after yesterday's game, they are combined 8-3 this year against the Orioles, Rays, Rangers, and Blue Jays, which are the top 4 teams they've faced in the AL. The Astros are the other team in the top 5 there. They haven't played them yet, but they have they've owned the best that the American League has to offer this year, this season, and of course have struggled mostly against the National League opponents that they get to face, 75-80% of the time.
Please just start beating up on these lesser opponents.
There's no rhyme or reason to it. I mean, in years past, you would have said, well, maybe the designated hitter. There's no difference at all.
Different rules.
It's uniforms, it's cities, but the rules are exactly the same. It should have no difference. For some reason, the Padres have played extremely well, especially against those top teams. You throw in their season series win against the Braves, all of a sudden that's a 12-6 record against 5 of the best teams in baseball. A 667 winning percentage against some of the cream of the crop in all of baseball. It's not a matter of can the Padres play up to the level of the best teams. Clearly they can. They've shown it time and time again that they can play with the best teams in baseball. What the problem has been maintaining the consistency against the teams that you would consider the lesser or mediocre teams, and they just
100%.
haven't come to play and put that same kind of production, that same kind of performance on the field against everyone that they've done against the good teams. And of course, the Dodgers continue to own them.
Right.
That's the story of the season this year.
Yep. One of many stories.
One of many, absolutely. But I look at that and it's such a head scratcher. I mean, the Orioles, the Rays, the Rangers, the Blue Jays, those are all really good winning teams. You feel like you go 500 against that group, you are doing great, and you're 8-3 against them. Make it make sense. Make it make some sense.
How do they not have one extra inning win? Make that make sense.
Can't do it. It's 19 one-run losses.
An article came out yesterday. I tweeted about it. I sent it to you guys. It's really well done, and it gets into just how bad, I guess, this team is. It kind of gets rid of the unlucky part of it. We'll get to that later in the show. It's really, really good. It's really, really good. Really well written. So we'll give that person.
I look forward to reading it word for word on the air.
Yes, that's all Paul can do. We know.
Paul reads sports coming up later on today.
Right now, though, Take on Woods. All right, we got Jesus ready to be our contestant today and take on Woods. Good morning, Jesus.
Morning, guys.
All right, Woodsy's left the studio, so now is your opportunity to beat him or even tie him. We'll put you into the drawing for our 2-night getaway to Las Vegas at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. It comes with 2 tickets to the Kool and the Gang show. They're going to be playing through 2024 at the International Theater. Check out their $70 million room renovations at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino, home of legendary Vegas fun. All right, your categories for today in our musical trivia contest. Will wonders never cease? The word wonder, the key to all of those answers. Our song title crawl, haven't done this one yet, but the every song title, the last word will be the first word of the next answer. And then our new category today is what goes up must come down. And those are 5 song titles that all end with either the word up or down. So, Jesus, of those 3, will Wonders Never Cease, the song title crawl, or what goes up must come down? Make your pick.
I think I had a dream about the the song title crawl, so I'll try that one.
Ooh, all right.
Hang
Something
on. You had a dream about one of Ben's categories?
Why not? I mean, it's good as anything to dream about,
okay.
right?
I just want to make sure I heard him right.
It's better than the one where you're naked in front of the class and having to give a speech, or like you're falling off a cliff and you wake up right before you hit the bottom. I might as well dream about the song title crawl. This is the first time we've ever done this. So here's how it works. Starting with the 2-second song like normal, the last word of the correct song title will be the first word of the next answer. So, for example, like every breath you take it easy, easy lover. You could go, that would be like an example of how it goes. The last word is the first word. So if you don't get one right, you're kind of on an island. You got to figure it out again and get back to the beginning. You can pass. That might help you out at some point if you don't know one. So, Jesus, do you understand how it's going to work here?
Yep.
All right. If he's dreaming about the game, I assume he knows the rules pretty well. So don't forget title and artist for the 2-second song. Your time is going to begin when Paul plays the music. Here it comes, our first ever song title crawl. Good luck, Jesus. Let's take on Woods.
That's cold as ice. On Oates.
Ooh, close. Which 1990 rap is built around the bass line to Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie?
Ice Ice Baby.
Correct. Name the Sir Mix-a-Lot classic that begins, oh my God, Becky, look at her
Baby
butt.
Got Back.
Correct. Known for its opening guitar riff, which 1980 AC/DC classic was written as a tribute to the band's late singer. Correct. Which 20th century African-American work song was transformed into a 1977 rock classic by Ram Jam?
Pass.
That's the last one. So it's Ram Jam. Yep. And the last one was Back in Black.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Which 20th century African-American work song was transformed into a 1977 rock classic by Ram Jam? Oh, I feel bad. You got Cold as Ice, but it's Foreigner, not Hall & Oates, and that was the difference there, because you got Ice Ice Baby, Baby Got Back in Black, and Black Betty is the Ram Jam song. Oh, Black Betty.
If it makes Jesus feel any better, I am predicting a 5 for 5 from Woodsy.
We'll see. All right, you don't think that's going to be the difference? Hang on the line, Jesus. Let's bring in Woods. I don't know if he can be able to figure out the category, though. This is a very tough one for Woods to figure out. We'll see. All right, Jesus' score is locked in. Put 60 seconds back on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Jesus.
Cold as Ice, Foreigner.
Correct. Which 1990 rap is built around the bass line to Under Pressure by Queen?
Ice Ice Baby.
Correct. Name the Sir Mix-a-Lot classic that begins, oh my God, Becky, look at her butt.
I like big butts.
Incorrect. Known for its opening guitar riff, which 1980 AC/DC classic was written as a tribute to the band's late singer, Bon Scott.
I thought it was Ice. Highway to Hell?
Incorrect. Which 20th century African-American work song was transformed into a 1977 rock classic by Ram Jam?
Black Betty.
Correct. And a 3-3 score. That's good enough. Jesus, you have qualified for the trip to Las Vegas. Congratulations. Hang on the line. All right. So
give me the category.
So the category, it's our first ever. It was new. It's called our song title crawl. The answers were Cold as Ice, Ice Ice Baby, Baby Got Back, Back in Black, and Black Betty. So the last word was the first word of the next answer. So, yeah, I knew it was going to throw you off a little bit.
That threw me off like a madman.
But, yeah, once you didn't get Baby Got Back, you kind of got off the track a little bit, and it made it a little tougher.
Well, the two with Ice, I was like, oh, so this is ice.
But it's not. It's changed. It was definitely a curveball for you. And Jesus took advantage. Could have beaten you. He missed. He thought he said Hall & Oates instead of Foreigner, but he had Cold as Ice, so he had the title. So he got 3.5 but you
Doesn't
can't get full
count.
credit. So he does
It's not
qualify.
soccer here, buddy.
Hang on the line, Jesus. Paulie will get your
We
information.
don't do half points.
And then, no, we don't. We'll come, but you don't get half points in soccer.
For
either.
ties, don't they? They get like a certain.
You get a point in the standing.
You know what I mean?
You don't get the full 3 points,
Correct.
though, for the win.
Like I said, it's not soccer.
Don't do this. Is coming up next.
Oh, Ben Higgins.
Oh my God.
Clout chaser. I never thought I would see the day.
Are you really that surprised?
Our boss, Adam, has rubbed off on you.
Except
And
I'm
influenced
better at
you.
it than might be the best ever. Best batting average in the history of clout chasing.
I hate this bit.
It's coming up next.
This is unbelievable.
After a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. All right, guest still coming up on the program today. Adam Jones just got off a plane in Spain. The plane in Spain.
What's the?
And he may be in the rain right now.
What is that? Isn't there a famous?
The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plane.
Yeah. The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plane. But they mean plane, not airplane.
Right. Adam Jones is getting off the plane in Spain.
I hope he's not in any pain.
Or in the rain.
Or
eating sugar cane. Snorting cocaine.
Well,
with Lorenzo Kane.
So we're gonna
brushing his mane.
Yeah, we're gonna push him back to 8:30, and then Britt Ghiroli from the Athletics is going to be with us at 9:00 this morning on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. I'll start Don't Do This because I talked about it yesterday. Feel like I have to give the other side of the story today, and
maybe
that
the
is
blind side.
The blind side, the Michael Orr lawsuit against his what we thought was his adoptive family, the Tuohys in Tennessee, who he says never actually adopted him and actually tricked him into signing a conservatorship, giving up all of his financial rights. He says he didn't make anything from the movie, and he's trying to get money back from the family and get out from under their control. The Tuohy family responded yesterday accusing Orr of blackmail, of trying to extort $15 million out of them, and that it's outlandish, the idea that the family ever sought to profit off Mr. Orr. They call it ridiculous. All they gave him, they said, is unconditional love, structure, and support. So that's the other side of the story. I don't know what the true, where I'm not there, obviously. So I am speaking simply from a point of common sense and logic. If you are offering someone unconditional love and they have lived with you for years and years, and you have essentially been their parental figures, and you're in charge of instilling values and treating them, teaching them right and wrong and everything, isn't it really your responsibility no matter what at this point as parents? I feel like for them to come out and say, oh, this is Michael doing us dirty, and this is him, and we're the victims in this case from Michael, doesn't make any sense to me.
The legal grift that is seemingly going on by the Tuohys is pretty gross. I saw it, I read a little bit of it, and I went, yeah, I don't care anymore. Like, I bummed for him. I laugh.
Was this the long con? A homeless guy is, hey, I'm going to trick this family into taking me in, and then they're going to make a movie about me, and we're going to make all this money, and I'm going to get rich off of this story. Right. That doesn't make sense to me.
The thing that didn't make sense to me was I tuned in to Don't Do This yesterday, and I heard you say that The Blind Side was one of your, quote, favorite sports movies. That's the one that
when he sticks his arm in the car and saves the kid, that doesn't warm your heart a little bit.
It's not even like a top 10 football movie.
It's not in
sports.
It's not in my top 500. I think
things like Major League.
I thought it was a really sweet story.
And The Blind.
Well,
I think I had a problem
by
with it.
Sandra Bullock, who won the Academy Award.
I grew up on the street with Leanne Tuohy, not her,
Mockle,
but her. It was every woman on my street. It was everybody's mom that I grew up with in the South. Every single one. Did see an interesting tweet from a young lady that says she goes by Campari Queen. She's a bartender. She said, as a Memphis bartender who has had to serve the Tuohys before,
I saw this exact same.
I hope they're treated by the media and or courts in the coming weeks and months with, quote, exactly the same amount of dignity, respect, and kindness that they show service industry workers when they go out. And then after that, it's just story after story after story after story about what absolute nightmares that couple is.
Again, I don't know the details behind the scenes, but doesn't feel like that they're great people. At least certainly not the people they were portrayed to be in the movie.
Nobody ever is. Nobody ever is. Our beloved Ben Higgins did something last night. A couple of different Don't Do This. So I'm scrolling.
Couple of different
Well, I'm scrolling Twitter. And I see
he's a monster.
I see this.
What is wrong with you?
He tweets last night at 7:29 p.m. At this moment at Petco Park, the Baltimore Orioles, 29 games above 500, and the San Diego Padres, 7 games below 500, have the exact same season run differential of plus 61. And he has an asterisk asterisk,
pointed
out for its absurdity and not as a defense of the Padres. So I immediately saw it and I went, this dude cannot stop talking about run differential. If run differential was a woman, you would make love to it. It is, you can't stop.
Well, I wish I loved anything as much as you love run differential.
My kids, it's, who do you love more, Graham or run differential?
It's, I mean, you understand why it's a good thing in baseball. That's
such an effing mirage, and
no,
you know this.
No, it's not. 99% of the time, the teams with the best run differential are the best teams in baseball.
We suck.
Yes,
we suck.
Yes, and that's
you don't see that we score 15. That's
why I put the asterisk. It's really, really weird what's happening to the Padres this year.
Stop talking about it.
And it's why in the beginning of the year, I fully believed that they would turn things around because 98% of the teams that have run differentials like that do turn it around.
They feast or they starve,
which is extremely rare in baseball.
That's why the number is so high. That's it.
I know, and that's why at this point it's just for the absurd factor.
It's a mirage.
So is the Baltimore Orioles. When you
it's not. They're winning.
They should be about 10 games above 500, not 29 games above
games.
500.
That's why it's not a mirage
so
for them.
Weird.
But then, to make matters worse, the next tweet he sends is at Jason ST, which is Jason Stark,
the king of baseball absurdities, weird stats. He loves that sort of thing.
I've known you for 5 years.
Never done it before.
You have never tried to get your tweet noticed by someone else.
But I thought he'd enjoy it. It's the kind of thing that
listen,
I feel like he would appreciate.
I would have felt less dirty if you would have texted it to me and said, "Hey, can you text this to Jason Stark?"
Yes, that would have made.
Hey, email this to MLB Network and maybe they can pass it along to Jason Stark.
Ben's out on the driving range taking swings. Is at Riggs Barstool, at Freddie Couples, at Phil Mickelson, at Tiger Woods.
Hey, at Callaway, you see this?
It's not you. Now, who's the a-hole now? Because guess what happened? That SOB went and retweeted it.
I'm batting 1,000 on my cloud chasing mentions on Twitter.
Jason,
how dare you? He writes, baseball is weird.
Exactly.
And
baseball is weird. And it's been really weird for the Padres this year.
I hate you.
No, this is unbelievable. You're unbelievable.
What was my do this? I forgot.
I forgot too. I have completely forgotten.
Does anyone remember what my do this was?
I do not.
Anyone?
Whatever it was, it's not important and we're late
That's
anyway.
don't and do this for a Wednesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
My do this is I actually did get quote tweeted by Jason Stark this morning. Yes.
He really, really did.
D mega doo-doo.
Yeah.
It's not like I quote tweeted Taylor Swift. Hey, this Padres stat is so cool, Taylor. Can you retweet it?
All right, everybody, when you send a tweet today, tweet it like
White
Ben.
House.
At President Biden, at Marjorie Taylor Greene, at anything. Just everyone tweet like Ben today and see who can get the best quote tweet. That would be a good bit.
At The Rock.
Hey,
I picked my target strategically.
We always been boys.
I landed my tweet. My clout chase landed correctly.
I'm gonna get video of my adult league game. Hey, at Wade Boggs, what do you think of this swing? Hey, at Skip Schumacher, thoughts?
I've got my adult basketball league tomorrow.
At LeBron James,
take some film. Hey, Woj, what do you think? Hey, at Sham Sharania.
Please, everybody, do this today. Please, everybody, do this.
So the piece you were talking about earlier actually addresses the run differential situation for the Padres, and it is interesting.
Holy crap!
We will talk about that coming up next year on San Diego's #1 sports station.
You are a legend, and you got quote tweeted, which makes my whole argument moot.
97.3 The Fan. Pro.org. Are you worried you're going to lose your home? The Balance Foreclosure Prevention Team can help provide assistance and info to guide you to avoid default and foreclosure. Call to schedule an appointment at 1-888-456-2227 or visit balancepro.org. If there's something I've said more than anything else this Padres season, make it make sense.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to figure this team out. Just like, why do you score 12, 2, 1, 2, 10? What is it? I mean, why is the offense so inconsistent? Why is that run differential so weird and meaningless this season? And we had, there was a piece that was going around yesterday that did a really nice job of trying to tackle and put in a nutshell what's happened to the Padres this season. And I know you wanted to bring it up, so we'll have some of that coming up for you after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Tannick.
Traffic is sponsored by Premier Kia of Carlsbad. Well, guys, your trip out of the South Bay North 5 just turned sour. Accident involving a motorcycle just before the 54. It's in middle lanes. They're saying traffic is stopped. That's northbound 5 before the 54. Northbound 5 might be a better choice if you can manage that. Also, traveling on the northbound 15 just before Adams Avenue. There's a collision. Tow truck is rolling up. It's got the fast lane blocked. Westbound side of the 8th, just past Mullison, got a collision involving a vehicle facing the wrong way in the center divide. Not sure what's taking them so long to clear this accident in Santee. Westbound 52, just past Mass Boulevard, but tow trucks on scene there. Everything's in the center divide. And Coastline Ride, southbound 5, right before the racetrack. There is a collision involving a couple vehicles. Everything is now over to the right shoulder. With a huge selection of new Kias in stock, you're sure to have the Kia of your dreams. They're right up to 5 freeway in the heart of Carlsbad. Shop online at premierkiaofcarlsbad.com. I'm Kelly Danik with Ben Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I'd like to say one thing before we get into this discussion. We have some really smart Padres fans out there.
Way smarter
You
than us,
don't
man.
have to be a member of the media
No.
to have a really good, intelligent opinion on the Padres. And you don't have to work in the industry. I know sometimes there are people in baseball who really look down at people who are outside of baseball, and
which is absurd to me.
There sometimes is a reason for that. Sometimes uninformed opinions make you roll your eyes and you go, all right, I mean, you think you know something and you really have completely no idea. But there are a ton of fans who do get it.
Well, and we on our show have always. They have the new media and old media. We are considered old media because we're on an old platform in radio, but I think we, sometimes to our detriment, have always embraced new media, the podcasters, the bloggers. And I got to tell you, man, I read this last night. This blew me away. The numbers in here. I thought about it too. I read it and I went, that would have taken you 2 years to do that research and write. So whoever this person is.
The Twitter account is Letters to AJ.
Letters, the number 2, and then AJ. And it is so well written.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, good morning. It is so well written. And this piece, Benny, is called Fatally Flawed. And it talks about luck or process. So we all, by we, I mean me, you, Paul, a lot of our listeners, a lot of our audience, a lot of national people. How many times have we heard Eno Sarah say this year, they're unlucky? How many times have we heard Jake and Jordan from Cespedes say, they're unlucky? How many times have we heard Jesse Agler say, they're unlucky? You read this article and you go, I don't know that it's luck. Now, it's not a comfortable read. It's not a read that's going to make you feel warm and fuzzy about like, oh, great, we were just unlucky. The ball just really didn't bounce our way. The Padres, you guys, it states it in here. They are potentially the worst clutch baseball team in the history of the game of baseball. And he makes a really, really valid point and uses numbers to back it up, Ben. Worst all time. There's never been a team, quote, there's never been a team in baseball history that has gotten the big hit less often than the 2023 San Diego Padres. The 2023 Padres are the worst hitting team in high leverage since the Bronze Age, and possibly longer. Stone Age baseball records leave much to be desired. 7 of them in the last, let's see, there are 3,000 individual team seasons of baseball in the Baseball Reference database. Of the 300 worst hitting teams in high leverage situations. 7 of them are recent Padres teams: 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2021, and 2023. Holy
Interesting. The 2 years
holy
they weren't,
smokes.
they went to the playoffs.
Correct. That is unbelievable to me. So that you look at and go, so are we unlucky every year, or is there something wrong with the process? He also, now it's not only hitting. He talks about the ERA of the bullpen and how unclutch they've been. But again, as a team in a total package, they have a credible claim to being the worst clutch team in history.
There is, and he addresses, or she, by the way, let's not be gender biased here. It's addressed that in baseball, beyond just the Padres, and he points out like Billy Beane from Moneyball, there is a belief that there's no such thing as clutch hitting.
Right. Billy Beane's quote was, "It's effing luck."
It's just you're hitting, and sometimes it happens in the right moment, and sometimes it doesn't happen. But overall, you're just looking for someone to put up a season worth of good numbers, and that should translate eventually to wins on the field. You're buying wins, as Billy Beane said in that movie. Hey, we need to buy this many on base percentage and this many walks, and that will buy us 20 wins that we're looking for to get back to the playoffs.
No, he said runs. Well, he said
which
runs.
then turns into wins.
Right. And in our case, even though there's runs, they don't turn into wins, as evidenced by your favorite,
the run differential. Yeah. And the one thing that there's not a specific answer for here is the cause of why the Padres have been so unclutch for a now significant period of time, most of the AJ Preller era. But they do speculate that, well, it could be a process issue. It could be a strategy issue. They bring up the 3 true outcomes. If you're really focusing on walks, home runs, and strikeouts, you're not going to be able to get close, just the ball play, sort of base hits when you need to drive in runs.
Yeah,
situational type hitting that can, be a make or break thing for your season.
Yeah, they make the point here is an overcommitment to that approach causing the Padres struggles in the clutch. That's systemic, right? That would be a systemic.
That would be
organizational.
Now, I don't
thing.
know. I mean, we've heard that AJ Preller is not the money of GMs. That he's oftentimes much more of a feel, GM than you would think he is. He kind of acts and looks a little bit like he'd be one of those analytics guys, but he's much more of a scout at heart. Get your eyes on the eye Dominican and scouting a player, as opposed to just what do the numbers crunchers tell you about a baseball team. And Moneyball process clearly was, hey, this is what the analytics tells us. We're just going in that direction. Doesn't matter whether a guy is clutch or can bring a guy in 2 outs and a runner in scoring position. We're just going for the numbers. Now, it all would kind of make sense in this context. I just can't tell you that the Padres actually think about things that way.
Well, again, it opened my eyes a little bit with the overcommitment. If the message in the system is 3 true outcomes,
which we don't know that that's true.
Right. I mean, we don't know that that's
we've heard sometimes the opposite is the case, that they are not enough driven by analytics in their system.
That
has been a criticism of the Padres.
That's more of a philosophy, right? Like, go up, barrel the ball, try to hit it out of the ballpark, take your walks, be patient, or if you strike out, it's okay. That's more of a philosophy than analytics.
It's also a philosophy many teams employ.
Sure.
In baseball.
Absolutely.
Some that have had great success as well and have hit with runners in scoring position.
But I think, if it was an outlier, if 2023 was an outlier, Ben, that would be the part where you'd go, all right, well, maybe we are lucky. But again, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 21, this is who they are.
What I agree, and what is great about this piece, is that there is a problem. You can't just dismiss it as luck when it happens after you. Even if there are a couple of years that it hasn't happened. Last year, the Padres were great in 1-run games. They were good at driving in runs, and essentially with the same players. So they have it in them to do it because we've seen them.
But once every 6 years,
but yes,
though, that's
the
problem.
fact that it has been so near the bottom of the pack. Yes.
Yeah.
The fact that they've more consistently been the bottom of the pack tells you there is something that they're doing wrong. I don't know that we or even they know what it is at this point. And I don't know that baseball has an answer for it yet.
This absolutely blew my mind as well. Quote, if you've watched the 2023 Padres, you've witnessed arguably the worst clutch hitting team in the history of baseball. You've also witnessed perhaps the worst clutch pitching team, at least in extra innings, in the history of baseball. It's quite a combo. If being the worst clutch hitting team of all time is puck, have 3,000 seasons of team baseball available to analyze, then the odds of being the worst clutch hitting team in history, which by some measure the Padres are, is 1 in 3,000. Same for pitching. The odds of being both the worst clutch hitting team and the worst clutch pitching team, if it's all luck, 1 in 9 million. 1 in 9 million are San Diego Padres.
That's like hitting the bad luck lottery.
100%. That's hitting the bad luck lottery. That's them taking $10 billion out of your account. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't make sense. I'm more apt to believe now that we're built on an Indian burial ground based on numbers like that.
It's not luck. It keeps happening. Even if it's not as bad as it was this year in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 2021, it was still near the bottom of baseball. So why is it that the Padres as an organization don't come through in the clutch more consistently? That is something that they should have a team of people looking into this offseason.
No question.
Like a team of people whose only job is to determine how the Padres can get better. Because if they can figure that out, they don't really need to make a ton of moves at all. Because we know that guys like Xander Bogaerts have performed in the clutch, and Manny Machado has performed in the clutch. It's not necessarily a player issue. It feels more like a team issue overall. If you figure that out, boy, unlock that in that key, it's like tuning up the engine and just, let them go, let the motor run. But until you know what the problem is, it's really hard to fix.
Well, and so they have another piece, part 2, baseball's Monty Hall problem. That is a follow-up to this. So let's read this. Let's talk about it. You guys go check out the article yourself. Again, on there, it's linked to AJ, letters to AJ, subscribe. Really, really well done pieces, man. Really, really well done.
I hate to try to, point out that this season is not over yet, because I felt like twice now in the last 2 or 3 weeks, it really has felt pretty done. Of course, the Padres get a ton of help yesterday with the Cubs and the Reds and the Marlins losing yesterday, and the Padres did gain a game to get 5.5 back in the wild card race. It's still, they're at a point at 5.5 back that you rarely see a team come from that far behind in the last 50 games. You need to go on an incredible run. And again, no one is, after one 10-run win, no one is predicting that incredible run starts today. It certainly is possible, but, they did gain a game yesterday, and no one seems to really want to grab the brass ring and, tell the San Diego Padres, you know why you can't get back in this race? Because we're going to play well also. And if you play well, doesn't matter, because we're going to play well. There are no other teams in the National League wildcard race that are currently going, we're going to make this so difficult for you that it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah,
they're keeping the Padres in it every single day by playing almost as mediocre or poorly as the Padres are right now.
Nobody wants this thing. Nobody wants that wild card, my friend. I think you're seeing it. You're seeing the pressure of it creep in on some young teams, right, that probably didn't expect to be there. This team expected to be there. The fact that they're competing for a last wild card is absurd in its own right. They expected to be there. When they play like they do last night, off of a good pitcher who has pitched well in Baltimore since he got there, who had good stuff last night, a little bit out of the zone, the heater was working, to wait him out, to have the ABs they did, why the hell can't you put it together for more than a day or two? That's the tough part. The killer instinct, that you just don't see it. You saw it last night. 2 outs, man. All these runs scored with 2 outs. That is killer instinct. That is, quote, having the dog in you. doing that with 2 outs every single time.
And tonight, the Padres will face another pitcher who's had some good success this year, 11 wins. The ERA is only okay. It's like 4.5. But Dean Kramer will be pitching for the Orioles. Another right-hander. Padres have faced a string of right-handers ever since, G-Man Choi has gone on the injured list and Matt Carpenter has been MIA, so they've had to go with right-handers. Garrett Cooper actually stepping up and having some good at-bats even against righties, so that's worked out okay the last couple of days for the Padres. It's Blake Snell. It's a bump day. We know what we're getting. We're getting 5 to 6 innings of pretty dominant pitching from Blake Snell.
Come on.
0-1, maybe 2 runs probably allowed. You feel pretty confident that that's coming from Blake Snell. So it will be up to the offense to score a handful and the bullpen to try to figure out the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. Good news is Josh Hader's very fresh. He has faced 5 batters this month. 5. And 3 of them were on August 1st.
Should start tonight.
So he is very, very, very fresh.
I can't wait to see the lineup.
I want to talk a little bit about what Bob Melvin had to say about Josh Hader being so fresh when we come back. And, I wonder what the lineup's going to be like.
Who better be in it? 2 guys.
We'll find out. Is one of them named Gary Sanchez? We'll talk about it as we return next with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Ben and Woods halfway home on a Wednesday. Great to be back with you. Had the day off yesterday to take my little guy to kindergarten for day one. Today is Tony Gwynn kindergarten.
Tony Gwynn kindergarten.
Yeah, Tony Gwynn
opening
kindergarten. He had a great
real kindergartners show up today.
real kindergartners show up today. Bunch of fake asses showed up yesterday for the first day, just there for the party. Today is when the real work starts. He had some homework, which was awesome. They do a thing where he gets a folder. He has a folder, and he has to bring it home every day. And on the date, you get a color. And if you're yellow, that means you had a great day. They should actually reverse it, but I don't want to tell her how to run her class. Should be green is good, right? Green, yellow, red, like a stoplight. But they do yellow as the best.
Like gold medal. Yellow, gold is the
but
top.
Then you don't get a green medal.
Well,
if you leave it out in the water,
tarnished bronze of some sort.
And then you don't want to get the red. Right, so the red is Bo had a bad day. So I told him
it was a bloodbath.
It's a bloodbath. Yeah.
It was that bad.
I said, let's stack that calendar with yellows. Let's just stack it with yellows. Okay, I will.
Yeah, green, yellow, red, I think makes more sense.
It does
in this context.
But again, I'm not going to tell her how to run her class. She's a very nice lady.
Why? Everyone tells you how to run your show.
God bless you.
All the time.
Son of a bitch.
When they do the open phones at kindergarten, call in and say, I really think that you should go with the green for the good day, like a stoplight, and yellow can be kind of caution in the middle. Red, of course, is, hey, alert, there's a problem that needs to be addressed.
I think radio shows and baseball are the two things that every Tom, Dick, and Harry think they know the answer to. Is that an accurate? I would never walk on a construction site and go, yeah, you're doing that wrong. The way you're doing that drywall is just, you're all wrong. But you know why? Because I have no idea. Because I've never hung drywall. But there are people that have never done a radio show that think they know how to do a good radio show. There are people that have never managed a baseball team that are like, idiot. Of course you don't go to Suarez there. Bro, I mean, honestly, at radio and baseball, that's the two things that everybody driving around in their car today go, I can do that in my sleep. I mean, I gave a guy a shot one time. Did not go well. Gave him the whole first segment. Did not go. He just did shout outs to his friends and family. So that's not entertaining. But it's wild. So no, I'm not going to tell her, Ben, how to run her class.
All right.
She's going to run her own class.
Okay, good.
But my man came home yesterday, super fired up. I go, well, what was it? He goes, it was fun. He goes, I had fun. And I said, good for you. And he's got a bunch of homework and stuff to do. So we're going to try to get him on that path of, let's knock it out.
I don't think I had homework until at least first or second grade.
Kindergarten
homework.
I was going to ask you, because your story yesterday is, it's so telling. If you missed it, just retell it. Retell it. I want to hear it again.
All right.
In its entirety.
Came with the picture of me on my first day of kindergarten, 1981, Parkdale Lane Elementary School in Encinitas, waiting for the bus, holding my brown paper lunch sack, wearing my corduroy OP short shorts and my Izod polo shirt that mom had dressed me in. And I can still remember, terrified about the first day of school. First day, really away. I had done preschool, but it was always half day short. Mom or dad dropped me off, picked me up there. It was very safe feeling. Kindergarten was scary. You had to get on the bus with the older kids. You had to get off. You had to find your class and your new classmates and your new school. It was very nerve-wracking. And I remember there were tears shed, and I was promised by mom, don't worry. They will make sure you're safe. You will get back on the bus. They won't forget to drop you off. I was terrified they'd forget to drop me off when I got. How do they know where to stop? They don't know where I live. I was the very logical little kid too. Like I am. They don't know where I live. How do they know that I need to get off here? And I was promised. The bus driver knows. They have a route. They stop at all the stops, and the kids get off, and then you're at home, and it's very easy, and we'll be waiting for you when you're done. Says, okay, so I go, and I think I had a pretty decent first day of school, and I don't remember how I got on the bus, but they got me on the right bus because I remember driving through our neighborhood, and you had to pass my house once on the other side of the street and go by, and I knew that. So then they went around the block and then came back, and I'm the last stop on the bus. So everyone else has gotten off. It's just me sitting somewhere kind of middle back.
Yeah, middle back
of the
about
bus.
Right.
And the bus driver just keeps going past
He didn't see you.
I don't think
Your little
they
head.
saw me, that maybe he thought everyone was off, but I was too scared to
He could have been
raise
on
my
meth
hand or
as well.
say anything. Well,
You
of
know?
course. Yeah, I didn't know this bus driver. And so what happens? Well, you end up just at the bus yard at the end of the route, not knowing what to do. Like, the bus driver's getting off, and it's like, I'm here. I was promised that you would take me home, and I did not get taken home, and now I'm here and I'm crying. And where are my
now
parents?
You're with some bus driver in a bus yard, which is every parent's nightmare. Your kid ends up in a bus yard with a bus driver that you don't know
on the first day of kindergarten.
On the first day of kindergarten. Your mother must have had a heart attack.
Yeah, sure she did.
I feel like maybe that, I don't want to call it a mistake, because it wasn't her mistake.
No,
it was
it's
like
just the way things were done back then.
But I do feel like maybe you were cloaked in bubble wrap from that moment forward.
A little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like let's not expose
by my
him.
own demand,
That
I think, as well.
And also the guilt. But let's not even expose this kid to the elements. Okay. Let's
I'm never getting on that GD bus ever again.
Dude, you're so good. That story
By
is
We're just going to give him a nice, comfortable childhood with all the luxuries he can hope for.
That story is just so epic.
So I'm glad Bo had a fun,
he did,
non-traumatic first day of kindergarten.
He did, and
it won't scar him for the rest of his life.
No, as far as I know. I mean, he came home in great spirits and was ready to go attack it again today. So good for him, and shout out to all the parents out there getting your kids back to school. I did hear a rumor. This is a true story, that some of the parents got together after drop off and went to a local nearby bar to have cocktails after they dropped the kids off.
Oh,
because they were
in the morning. Oh, yeah, that's a
Is that a thing?
Yeah, I remember Shelly used to do that. First day of school, like a lot of the parents, moms would get together like at Mr. Peabody's or something and go have brunch, drinks. And like, kids are out of the house. It's time to take back our lives.
I was blown away. I couldn't believe
that
it.
That is a thing. First day of school mimosas.
That is a bit.
Mama Kim Higgins has weighed in.
Okay.
She just texted all of us. She says, for the record, I of course was waiting for him, and I saw the bus go whizzing past. I still have PTSD like Ben. So horrifying.
She's running after where are my baby? And that guy's like, nope, I'm taking him. Oh, my
shift is over.
Hey, it ain't my fault that little SOB missed his stop. I'm not turning around. Oh, my God, dude. That is incredible.
Did he not? Was I supposed to pull that handle?
There
was
none.
There was not. They don't have those on school buses.
I was all panicked because Bo had to ride the bus to Farm Lab after, and he said, "No, Dad, there was a seatbelt on the bus." I go, "Well, thank God," because when we grew up, you hit a bump, you hit the top of the bus. You tried to hit the top of the bus. You're messing with you're messing with the emergency thing. You're throwing stuff out the window. Like,
you wanted to sit in the back, so if they went over a speed bump or something, you're like, "Go faster!"
Let's all do the bump real quick. 1, 2, 3. Oh, so good, so good, man. What a fun thing. And I know a lot of parents, you do feel that sigh of relief when they get back in school. But yeah, it was great. It's a great day. So thank you guys for letting me have that moment. And but it is great to be back here with you guys talking about our beloved San Diego Padres.
So
white hot, by the way.
One of my pet peeves the last couple of years. I mean, and I get it. You talked on Monday, I think it was. But where are you going to use Josh Hader other than the ninth inning? Someone needs to pitch the ninth. If you're going to win a game, someone has to pitch it, and he's the guy who you're paying money to get those toughest last 3 outs. So if you use him in the 7th inning, who's going to pitch the 9th? Would you rather lose the game in the 9th? No, I totally understand that. But it frustrates me, and I think other Padres fans as well, knowing that your best pitcher, probably overall on the team, is Josh Hader, at least on short bursts. He's got an ERA under 1. He's got one of the best strikeout rates in history. He's one of the most dominating closers and pitchers of his era. Doesn't it make sense that the more you can get your best players onto the field, the better your team is going to be? And when you go a month, and we're now halfway through August. It is August 16th. What is it? 15th or 16th? 16th of August. And one of your best players, one of the best players in the league, in fact, has faced 5 batters all month.
3 in one game.
3 in the first day of the month. 2 batters since August 1st is all he has faced. How are you getting the most out of your roster? Would we be mad if, let's say, Juan Soto only had 7 at-bats this month, but was perfectly healthy? Of course we would.
Of course.
We'd be irate. It would be dereliction of duty by Bob Melvin to go, hey, yeah, no, we just want to use him in key spots. Hey, we're waiting until we're down 2 in the 9th and there's 2 runners on, and then we bring Juan Soto up to the plate. You don't do that with hitters, obviously. Pitchers, you have to be a little more judicious, but when you end up going 2 weeks, and he hasn't pitched since August 8th, so it's been a full week now plus since we've seen Josh Hader in a game, you're not getting the most out of your roster and your players. And yesterday, Bob Melvin was asked about it before the game. And, hey, is there any chance that you can start thinking outside of the box and using Josh Hader in, earlier innings, different situations to get him onto the field? And Bob essentially said, well, maybe when we get to September, we get more aggressive, and I know we need to win, but who's going to pitch the 9th? I mean, he's our 9th inning guy. But the fact remains, the Padres haven't had a save situation since August 1st. They've lost or they've been up by more than 3 in every game they've played. There has not been a save situation in 2 weeks for the San Diego Padres, and during that time, Josh Hader, one of the best pitchers in baseball, has just rotted in the bullpen that entire time, while other guys who have struggled and can't seem to get an out and are throwing flat sweepers and meatball change-ups down the middle are getting hammered, and your best guy remains unused.
Can you not understand, though, why he'd be reticent to use Hader in weird situations based on the other personnel of the team drastically underperforming the entire season? So if I put Josh Hader in to hold a 1-run lead in the 8th or in a tie game in the 8th, but they got their best guys coming up, now Josh Hader's down maybe the next day, whatever. You've used him. There's no ability of this team to come back from a deficit. There's no ability of this team to win a late game. So I think, doesn't that factor into his reluctance to use him?
But doesn't that factor in, then don't fall behind in the first place. If you've got a 1-run lead, you got to keep it. And if you can't trust the guy that's in the 8th inning right now to keep it, then bring in your best guy to keep it.
But then you're going to have to use that guy from your 8th in the 9th.
Yeah, but maybe you'll add on then in the bottom of the 8th at the top of the 9th, and you won't have to worry about it. I know you probably won't, but
I mean, again, based on what you've seen,
what we've
from
seen is Robert Suarez or Nick Martinez or Steven Wilson take tie games or close leads, and poof, boom, they're gone. And now Josh Hader doesn't even get in because you're behind and you don't see him at all.
And I'm not arguing you at all. I agree with you, but I can certainly see the reluctance to count on the other guys
you bring him in to hold a 1-run deficit. Then the next 3 days you'll have save situations that you need him to go, why did we use him in that game? I get it. I understand.
And it's the team around him. It's their fault, I guess, right? For not putting him in save situations. I mean, honestly, like you said, they're blowing a team out, or they are,
which isn't a bad thing.
No, but they have shown no ability to come back. They've shown no ability to add on.
Ideally, if you have a closer like Josh Hader, you want, 1 or 2 close games where he comes in and gets the save, and then you win by 8 and you don't need him, and
Correct.
He rests for a day or 2, and then he comes back in and saves a close game. The Padres have done the opposite. They've had close losses by 1 or 2 runs where he doesn't get in, and then they go and win by 8, and he never gets into the game at all. There's never a situation to use Josh Hader.
And I'll tell you what, man, because he will have to be used at some point. And today, who knows how the day is going to go? Hopefully it's a nice 5-3 lead in the 9th, and he comes in and hammers it out, and we win the series. But if you don't, and you got to use him just to get him some work today in a 8-1 deficit or in an 8-1 lead, and then you've got a big series coming up with who?
Diamondbacks.
The Arizona Diamondbacks. And where do they sit? It's not an easy job. And for everybody that thinks they know how to actually use Josh Hader in a smart, efficient way, it's the other guys around him that have put Bob Melvin in this situation. It's Steven Wilson's fault. It's Scott Barlow's fault. It's Nick Martinez's fault. It's Tom Cosgrove's fault. It was Ray Kerr's. It's all of these other guys that have not been able to do their job in the role that they were paid, a lot of them, handsomely to do.
you're not wrong, but now we've seen it in the National League Championship Series last year and throughout the month of August this year. Your best pitcher dying on the vine.
Yep.
Dying on the vine as your season has died last year and now probably this year as well. Both times with Josh Hader, your best pitcher, going unused.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and again, I hammered it home on Monday is the whole let's just figure out the ninth inning. Are you guys kidding me? Figure out the ninth. There's not a soul down there I would want to pitch the ninth inning other than Josh Hader. Not one single solitary human being.
Maybe if Trevor's in the ballpark.
If Trevor's there, suit him up. I'd rather let Paul pitch the ninth than some of these guys that I saw. How about McCann?
He threw a scoreless inning with his 39-mile-an-hour curveball.
Don had a question last night. I know we're a little late, but I don't care. Don had a question last night, and he was talking about how come position players come in and they just shut guys down. And it's obviously the hitting speed. Here was my question, though. Why do they all come in and throw eephus pitches? I know James McCann throws harder than is it James McCann?
Yeah,
39 miles an hour. I know that. Why don't they come in and try to go mid-80s or something?
I think they realize that for hitters of the caliber that they're facing, those guys will murder 75, 80 a lot easier than they 40. Do 40. Like they just can't get the timing for 40. Now, if it was you or me,
like softball out there,
it's the one chance we'd ever have to get a hit where, maybe Ha-Seong Kim or Manny Machado did not.
Yeah.
Because they have such highly attuned timing to speed that throwing that slow. Now, if they saw it twice, 3 times a night, they would score 30, 40 runs.
So what you're trying to say is I'm a better hitter in 45-plus adult league than Manny Machado would be.
If they only got the one chance against it, it probably is the best way to go.
Can you imagine?
If you ever had to get a big league hitter out, I recommend lobbing it as slowly as you can.
They all do.
And let them get themselves out.
Most of them do.
That would really be your only chance. If you
try
to go
84
right down the middle,
that's BP.
You were going to die.
That's BP. You just try to throw your 85-mile-an-hour fastball.
No.
It's so funny, man.
All right. If you missed it earlier, yesterday around this time we had Jesse on and did the Incorporator. We're calling it the coup d'etat of Incorporators.
So good,
Incorporator history.
Last night during the game. You need to hear this coming up next with Bennett Woods after traffic on 97.3 The Fan. Catch anything you missed on the Odyssey app. Search 97.3 The Fan. You can go back, find anything from any of our shows. Download the Odyssey app now. That's AUDACY. In fact, let's give it a try right now. Paulie, let's go back to our 620 segment when we played the Incorporator for the first time this morning and revealed what was even a stunner to us last night during the game. We were expecting Jesse, as he usually does, to work in his Incorporator vocabulary word that we gave him during his appearance 24 hours ago. What we got was something altogether unexpected. So here was the setup with Jesse yesterday.
Jesse, your word today, it's a noun, and the word is snickersnee.
Snickersnee.
Which is a large knife, especially one used as a weapon. Snickersnee.
Sure.
I mean,
So we're cutting things back-to-back weeks.
Yes, we are.
Chiffonade last week, Snickersnee this week. Now, from that point on until the game, we did nothing out of the ordinary. Did not communicate with anyone that we don't usually communicate with. I spoke nothing of the Incorporator. Woods wasn't even here yesterday.
I tell you guys all the time, I wait. Jesse texts me during the game or, shortly after, so I know when to go pull it the next morning. He goes, no, top of the fifth, Fernando up to bat.
So much to our surprise and Jesse Agler's surprise, here's what happened in the bottom of the first inning last night against the Orioles.
And Soto swings, hits it foul off the end of the bat in the air, and out of play left side, 1-1 on the Padre left fielder.
So just if I can finish just my little story about the Saracen and the Arabian warrior. What was really cool about him is he carried a big scimitar with him, almost like a snicker seat type sword with him. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a big, long sword.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
You can use it, obviously, in battle, or if you need to chiffon some different herbs or spices.
Mm-hmm. But they're the Wolverines now.
1-1 pitch, fouled back, 1-2.
But it's kind of cool. There were several great players. Max Fried, of course, along with Jack Flaherty and others that have come out of that school since long after I was there.
You got like a secret handshake you do when you say hi, anything like that?
Yeah, we got a special tie.
Sheath your sneeze and then shake hands.
Unbelievable.
So
Jesse texted me yesterday, like right at the start of the game. That was the bottom of the first. Before that, he texted me and he goes, hey, what was the word again? So I send it over. He goes, oh, you guys think you're so clever. About 6 minutes later, I go, what are you talking about? Whatever you're thinking we did, we weren't trying to
we didn't try to prank you.
Nothing like that. I go, I don't no idea what you're talking about. He goes, no, I mean with Scanlon. What?
What are you talking about?
Scans brought it up in the bottom of the first, and I rolled with it. And then I used it again myself right after. And I go, that is incredible. And
That's
then
all
they go to commercial break and obviously talked about it. And Scans was listening in yesterday morning when we had Jesse on
his way to the dentist to get those beautiful pearly whites polished. He thought to himself, oh, I'm gonna do it, which I think is amazing.
So good.
By the way, to no one's surprise, Don Orsillo and Tony Gwynn Jr. did not mention Snickersnee at all.
No, yeah,
on the television broadcast last night.
They must not have had an appointment they needed to get.
Apparently not
to listen to Ben and Woods.
Well, we always used to do the segment with Jesse, knowing Uncle Teddy was not listening.
Oh yeah,
and we feel pretty confident. Tony's got his afternoon show here, and he's got his kids in the morning. That he's not necessarily a tier one when it comes to the Incorporator segment. So we usually can slip it by Tony. Bob, though, has done the Incorporator before for us. So he is he's in on the bit and decided to take it to the next level on his own volition last night after he heard it in the segment this first. So thank you, Bob, for listening. First of all, tier one Bob Scanlon, appreciate it. And then shocking Jesse by turning the Incorporator against him in the first inning last night.
Really well done. I love that they felt comfortable enough to mess with our bit, and I think they made it better.
Just a couple of assassins, both of them,
no doubt.
With Snickersnees. So apparently Adam Jones is still in the rental car line in Barcelona or wherever he is.
Yeah, so
he's pushing back to 9:30. Britt Ghiroli still coming up at 9.
Yep.
Which means our usual 9 o'clock Reindl Report can be advanced ahead to our next segment. Paulie, what do you have coming up here?
Let's do it. Let's see. What do we have here? We've got sad news in Major League Baseball. You never like to see one of the game's brightest stars missing significant amounts of time. And
G-Man Choi update, right?
dude, yes.
Why
We've
are you
talked about
snickering?
like how NBA contracts are ridiculous. Guys you've never heard of signed for $180 million. Wait till you hear the details about this soccer
Oh, I'm
contract.
interested in it because I don't know what the details are. I just
Holy
know it's
crap.
pretty crazy. All right, that's coming up next. Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Just got this tweet during the break from Nacho Padre SD. Says, I see where Ben is going. We should change the entire game to run differential rather than win losses. I mean, what does it matter if you win or lose? It's how you play the game.
That's
Am
right.
I right?
Yeah, how you score. How many runs
You're
you
nodding,
score.
right? I knew you would agree with that. You like a good $10 wager.
I do.
Let's make a little $10 wager. Rest of the baseball season, every MLB game, $10. I get the team with the better run differential. You get the team with the worst run differential. Shouldn't matter, right? It's how you play the game.
We're not talking about other teams. We're talking about the San Diego Padres.
Oh, it's just about the Padres.
Yeah.
So run differential does matter, just not for the Padres this year.
Clearly.
Well, how was I supposed to know that?
Clearly.
So it's mattered in the history of baseball. You do agree with that?
We just talked about how we're 1 in 9 million.
Right.
No one's ever been like this.
So is it my fault that I thought crazily that the Padres would go along with the entire history of baseball and that the run differential would indicate that they were probably a pretty decent team?
But I was telling you at the break that the All-Star break, that mirage that you kept touting, well, but guys, look at our run differential.
I thought it was going to turn around.
Well, I mean, I think, if you have the ability to score 10 a bunch of times,
you would think you have a pretty good offense.
You would think that you could score 6,
5,
4.
You have the ability to limit teams often to 0, 1, or 2 runs
with some of the best defense around for a time, with the best starters ERA.
If you have one of the best closers in the game, you'd think we're going to win our share of close games in the end with a lockdown closer.
The anomaly of the San Diego Padres season is that it's taking every number that you thought you knew and flipping it on its head.
I realize that the Padres now defy explanation, and it's just absurd. I just want everyone to know that I didn't make this thing up about run differential, leading to good results in the end. It's always been true before this team.
My whole thing was around the break is when you really started hammering it home. And I'm like, yeah, but you just saw a 14-2 win and a 6-0 loss or a 3-0 loss. You saw a 10-1 win and then you saw a 2-0 loss. And I'm looking going, yeah, they're stacking runs twice a week, but they're not scoring any or 1 or 2 for the other 5 games. So while it looks great, you can look at that and say, well, that gives me some hope. Yeah, there was a little bit of hope, but man, it has been feast or famine truly this entire season. And you're right. Like, that's what they always say. Everything will regress to the mean. Not this team. We keep waiting for regression to the mean.
I mean, we've seen teams like the Marlins, the Diamondbacks regress the way their run differential said they were going to regress later in the season.
We have not progressed.
No, we have not
at all. And that's been the head scratcher, the one that makes you just want to pour a glass of bourbon after every game and just go, I got nothing, man. It's taking really smart baseball people, not us, but much smarter baseball people, and having them go, this is weird. I kept thinking it was just luck. I kept thinking they were unlucky. I kept thinking that eventually it would all even out. And we always talk about that evening out, right? Like Juan Soto last night hit a couple of balls really, really hard. And over the course of the season, yeah, those are going to fall. Those are going to drop. Those are going to go up the middle. Guy's not going to be standing right there for a double play. Guy's not going to grab one at the wall. So if you keep up that process, if you continue to hit balls hard, you're going to be in good shape at the end of the year. You will. That's one you can count on. But if you score 10 runs in one game and 1 run in the next, it's not sustainable. It's just not. I mean, I get panicked when I see this team hit the 7, 8, 9, 10 run mark, Ben. I'm like, oh, God. Because we are so conditioned this season to almost know what's going on. I'm going to check the line here on today's game.
You feel like in the first 2 innings, if they don't score,
they're dead.
It's like, oh, no, here we go again.
When Kim got that double, and then when Tatis grounded out, the sense of dread that I had after Tatis grounded out, even with Soto, Machado coming out, I went, oh, God. Oh, no. Here we go. Now, again, I point to that first inning. If I'm Bob Melvin, if I'm Ryan Flaherty, if I'm Scott Coolbaugh, I take those guys in today and I say, just look what you were able to do. Jake, Xander, Manny, look what you guys were able to do when you stayed locked in and focused You spit on really good pitches. You took fastballs in hitters' counts because they weren't in the right spot. Like, do that.
It's actually what made Sunday's game against the Diamondbacks one of the most surprising of the season for me, because when they scored 3 in the first inning, I thought, oh, it's one of those days.
One of those days.
Well, great. All right, they're going to win the game easily. They're going to win the series. But then they're probably not going to do anything tomorrow.
But what has the number 3
not
taught
adding
us
on
this year? 3. If they score 3, they're done. They're done. They're almost done. It's almost a guaranteed L.
But once you get to 4, it's usually the other way around.
5 was like
5 is really magic.
But then even the couple against the Dodgers, we scored 5. They did what? They scored 8. So there's no rhyme or reason with these guys right now. But you put together ABs like you did against Flaherty. Yeah, you're going to win ball games. I was so impressed with that first inning. And then, of course, Sanchez getting one he could handle, giving us our first grand slam. Okay, we crossed that off. That's done. Fine. Let's win an extra inning game. Let's win 4 in a row. My God, I feel like at this point, we cross some of those things off the list. Hey, pretty successful year, guys. You hit all those things that nobody thought you get 500. Hey, all right.
Feel good about yourself going into the offseason.
Oh, my God.
There's just no way to feel good about this team if they don't make the playoffs.
No, there's no way. Absolutely not. No matter what they do. So today, Benny, you got Snell on the bump against Dean Kramer. Padres are heavily favored. I mean, if you want to win, if you put $100 down on the Orioles and they win straight up, you'll win 165.
Plus 165.
Plus 165. Padres minus 185 to win 100. And I'm looking at that. So the over-under has been set at 8 runs. History should tell me, hammer the under. Hammer it. Now, Orioles go out and throw up 8 easily. They've got the offense to do it. But you can
against Blake Snell?
But against Blake Snell, that's the other thing. So my gut tells me hammer the under. Hammer it.
Because and the Orioles?
Hammer the Orioles in the under. Yeah.
If you're looking, as you call it, emotional insurance. Hey, I'd love to see the Padres win, but if I'm going to have my heart broken, might as well have some extra money in my pocket. Yeah. There are your odds tonight.
That's it.
On the Padres and the Orioles.
Somebody had tweeted us earlier, Woodsy, explain Vegas to me. Explain it. It's like they don't watch this team. And I go, bro, you're right. They get me almost every day. It's like you look at it and go, all right, I see where you're coming from. But history tells you, if history serves, guys, it's going to be a 5-1 loss today?
Something like that.
Yeah. 5-1.
All right, so let's check traffic. We'll come back with the Reindl Report, get some headlines here from Paulie on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Tannick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive Through Oil Change, your 15-minute instant drive through oil change. Guys at North 805 becoming one messed up ride. They did clear this accident just before 43rd Street, so looking a little better there. But getting reports of a stalled vehicle up ahead near the King Freeway. Just past the 52, got this crash. That has been cleared into the center divide. Another accident near Governor over the right shoulder. Then one more crash, North 805 right before Nobel. This one is over to the right shoulder. Northbound 75 looking at a much better choice. Now southbound 5 before Nobel, there is an accident over to the right shoulder. In the North County, westbound 78, just past the 15, accident blocking the fast lane. Stop by any of the 30 San Diego Valvoline Instant Drive Oil Change centers. You don't have to get out of your car. It usually only takes 15 minutes or less. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for discounts and locations nearest you. Valvoline Oil Change centers are open 7 days a week. I'm Kelly Danik with Ben Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Gentlemen, we will start off in Major League Baseball. Sad news for Tampa Bay Rays fans yesterday. Shane McClanahan is set to undergo Tommy John surgery, I believe, next week. So he will for sure miss not just the rest of this year, but he's going to be out for all of 2024 as well. I mean, just one of the most exciting, fun pitchers in baseball. You always hate to see that happen.
He's really good. They've had a rough week.
They have. Manny Margot is out for the rest of the month.
Wander Franco.
They've
more to that story now, apparently.
I think Britt Ghiroli has been writing about Wander Franco.
Right, we will ask Britt Ghiroli that question.
I don't
At what
know
time?
9 o'clock?
9 o'clock.
How old is Shane McClanahan?
26.
Is it even fair to get so excited about a young pitcher who hasn't had Tommy John surgery yet? I mean,
know,
it
it's a
almost
good
feels
question.
like it's a coin flip whether or not they're going to need it at some point.
I was watching Paul Cruz, the Pirates' #1 pick. Skeens, I'm sorry.
Skeens.
God, it's the other guy.
Skeens.
Dylan Cruz, Paul Skeens. I'm going to do that, by the way, for the rest of their careers. Watching him throw, good God. That man has he's the guy walking around. I outwork you. Now, he's kind of a jerk. I mean, that's kind of a jerk thing to do. But if you back it up on the field, I was watching him throw yesterday, and that's the thing. You want to get super excited about that guy, right? It's almost like a fait accompli. Like you're like, all right, well, what are we scheduling this surgery? It's think of how many guys that haven't done it.
So the Padres have their two top now young pitchers are Robbie Snelling and Dylan Lesko. Dylan Lesko already had his. He's coming back from it right now. Snelling, I don't believe has.
Knock on wood.
He's dishing though in the minor leagues, and you look like, hey, in a couple of years, year or two, this is a guy who could be a big part of the Padres rotation. But am I just going to get my hopes up knowing probably at some point here he's going to have to go under the knife, just like they almost all seem to?
No one's, if they have, I haven't seen it yet. No one's indicted the organization yet. But he is the 4th member of the Tampa Bay Rays pitching staff to need major elbow surgery this year. Joins Drew Rasmussen, Shane Baz, Jeffrey Springs. You also remember Tyler Glasnow, the things that he's been through with that team, trying to get back after I think I want to say a couple, maybe just one for Tyler. That's a lot of guys, a lot of starting pitchers, Ben, that go under the knife in Tampa. I know that they're slider heavy. I know that they're max velo heavy team like that. So you do wonder, man, like, is this an organizational thing that they're preaching? But it's a huge, huge blow for a team that, everyone kind of expects to win the East. And now if you get into the playoffs, you got to do it without Shane McClanahan.
I know we're trying to talk down the luck factor in sports, but to me, arm injuries, maybe there's some process involved, but there's a lot of luck there that you can't do anything about it. Sometimes you can take every right step and the arm still is going to go down at some point.
Yep.
Paulie?
All right, next up, I'll tell you about this soccer contract here. So Neymar has left PSG and signed with...
That's Paris Saint-Germain.
Very good.
For the layman out there.
Yes. And do you know where he's going?
I do not. Where's he going?
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
Oh, he's doing
I don't know which team or whatever, but
a lot of live comparisons here. I mean, the money that those guys have over there. Holy crap. So let's just go through it. PSG, the team, they got a $110 million transfer fee for Neymar. Neymar himself is going to receive a salary of $219 million per year. And I'm reading here directly, word for word, from worldsoccertalk.com. It says, furthermore, French media outlet Foot Mercado claims that he will have a private plane at his disposal, a huge mansion with an entire staff, an $80,000 bonus for every Al Hilal win. So, like, the team wins the match, he gets an $80,000 bonus, and more than $500,000 for every post or story that he puts on his social media that promotes Saudi Arabia. Not necessarily the team.
Definition of sports washing.
Come to the game tonight in Saudi Arabia. $500,000 right there,
bro.
Tweet that out.
My Instagram feed, the stories, they would be so tiny. There'd be 1,000 stories every day. Hi, this is Paul. I'm here to tell you about Saudi Arabia.
Hello, I'm Paul Reindl.
$500,000 a post?
Why, Saudi Arabia, simply the most beautiful place on the planet.
I think it might be the best Arabia there is.
Now, Neymar has 212 million followers on Instagram.
Jeez. So he's sports washing.
Can
That's
I-
a lot of dough.
I know you got a little time crunch here, but can I give you one other soccer stat? You see, Messi scored his 9th goal.
Yeah.
He's the 3rd leading scorer in franchise history.
He's been there 3 weeks.
He's the 3rd leading scorer in franchise history for Miami now.
It's insane.
In
How fun
3
would that be
weeks.
to go watch that guy? Yeah, he's been there 3 weeks.
Finally, an Austrian supermarket last week had to shut down business, at least temporarily, after one of the most dangerous spiders in the world was discovered in a box of bananas. It's called the Brazilian wandering spider.
It's hairless.
And it
I get it. It's Brazilian.
Yeah,
I get it.
I got it.
It took me a second.
little bit quicker than Ben.
Yeah,
there.
I was a little slow on this.
So the spider was roaming the aisles of the supermarket. They had to shut down because, well, the spider has obviously, poisonous venom. It's also got some side effects. One of which is the spider bite's ability to cause extremely painful, hours-long, call your doctor if it's been more than 4 hours.
Oh.
It's like the Viagra of spiders. That's weird.
It's actually, scientists have studied this particular spider for research.
Let's try West Coast Men's Health, the acoustic wave therapy, much of the same without any of the bites of the spider. Doesn't hurt at all.
Hours long.
An hours long one of those. Is it really painful?
Yeah.
How do you know? He's answered so sure.
I think so.
Yeah. I think it'd be fantastic.
I don't like spiders.
Painful?
I mean, I'm not terrified of them, but I'm definitely creeped out by spiders. Probably more than even snakes. Spiders. Creepy. Crawly. Britt Ghiroli from The Athletic is going to join us.
Well, family connection here, by the way. We didn't really know about.
that.
This is
We'll talk
amazing.
about that next with Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. Final hour of Ben and Woods. Britt Ghiroli here in a couple of minutes. You grew up as a Yankees fan.
I did.
So the last time the Yankees finished with a losing record, you were in high school.
Yeah.
1992.
92. I was a junior.
They have had a winning record every year since, but with the loss yesterday to the Braves, they fell to 60-60 and are certainly trending toward their first losing season in over 30 years.
It's not only that, it's just the organizational kind of failures that have been going on, with the way that Domingo Germán was handled, the way that Anthony Rizzo was handled. Somebody tweeted something yesterday with some of the contracts that they've doled out, like the Josh Donaldson deal and things like that. I mean, it's staggering.
Is that a streak worth fighting for? 30 straight plus winning seasons? Or, hey, if you're not going to go to the playoffs, who cares if we finish 80-82 versus 82 and 80?
I think that would, if you don't have a winning season, right? I think that's terrible.
I mean, is any season other than like whatever it takes to make the playoffs worth fighting for? Hey, we finished 500.
They're still technically able to make the playoffs.
They are. They're not out. And I'm not saying they give up now, but I don't know that it's a great accomplishment to finish 82-80 if you're the New York Yankees.
Me neither.
All right, for more baseball talk, let's go out to our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. We are joined by one of the terrific baseball writers for The Athletic, based in the Baltimore, D.C. area. Britt Ghiroli is with us here on Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Britt, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. Now, do we need to send shout-outs to Mama Ghiroli? Is that what I hear? Your mother is a big Ben and Woods fan? What's going on?
She is. She listens a lot. She texted me this morning and said, hey, I heard you're going on at 9. They just said it. So, yes.
Is she based here in San Diego, or is she listening on the app somewhere?
No, she is. Two of my sisters are out there. They were all at the game last night. My brother.
Why are you out here, Britt?
Yeah, what are you doing?
I know.
We got a baseball team to cover.
Gosh.
I know. It's a sports journalist salary only goes so far, guys.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Well, she's got phenomenal taste, your mother, Britt. I wanted to let's start with the Baltimore Orioles because, seeing them from afar, and we talk to Adam Jones every week. We're going to be talking to him later in the show, and he's got obviously the Orioles connection. I got to tell you, they are such a blast to watch. They really are. I mean, they've done things a little bit differently the last few years, but what they've done is they've added young, controllable pieces that are all seemingly on the path to superstardom. They've given Brandon Hyde a chance to ride it out. I don't know how much you know Brandon, but why is he the right guy for what they're doing?
Yeah, guys, I was talking to someone about this the other day because I don't think Brandon Hyde gets enough credit for what they're doing. I think a lot of people, rightfully so, talk about Mike Elias and the job he's done as GM and very quickly assembling this talent. A lot of people talk about player development system and how they seemingly turn out big league hitters left and right. And that's all fine and well. But Brandon Hyde, when you think about it, is the guy who is managing these kids. This is a very young roster at the big league level, and they are getting better at the big league level. Now, they couldn't do that if they didn't have confidence in Brandon Hyde and his coaching staff. And I talked to him about this a couple of weeks ago, and he said, the key is having patience with these guys. And he can't manage this team like Rob Thompson with the Phillies, a team that's full of all veterans and stars. He's got to manage this team in certain facets, like it's a AAA team. These guys are so young. They're coming up with, such tiny snippets of minor league experience compared to a lot of teams that they have to find ways for these guys to get comfortable, but also to get better and not be just absolutely, overwhelmed with all the challenges that the big leagues has. And I think Brandon Hyde has done a great job of that. I mean, even a few years ago when they were getting their brains beat in every night, he made that group a tight-knit group. He made it about culture. He made it about relationships. And you go in that clubhouse now and look, there's a reason they've started all these silly things like the Homer hose and, they have the bird bath when guys have extra base hits and they have special handshakes. And this is a team that really gets along and really fosters a fun mentality. And I think early on, that was how they got through game to game in some of these brutal seasons. And I think now that they're winning, you're seeing some of the stuff that Brandon Hyde did and some of the foundation that he laid. And they're just a really solid, really dependable team. I mean, they have not been swept in a series since Adley Rutschman came up in May of last year.
Wow.
I mean, that is just remarkable when you think about the kind of, managing that takes, the kind of playing that takes. And, they drop 2 games of a series and they don't panic. And I think Brandon Hyde is a huge part of why they're doing well.
Talking to Britt Ghiroli from The Athletic. And Britt, I'm sure Orioles fans are hoping, maybe thinking this is the same trajectory as the Houston Astros, home drafted, built stars who are going to turn into, perennial, maybe dominant contenders in the AL, win some World Series. But what is that next step? Because there are also examples like the Blue Jays who haven't been able to put it all together, or even worse, the White Sox, who were full of hype a couple of years ago and have gone in the wrong direction. At some point, the Astros invested money into those young teams and turned those into championships. Is there a trust that, ownership in Baltimore is going to do that at some point?
No, I think that's probably the $1 million question, right? Is you can talk about the job Michael Elias and Brandon Hyde did, but at the end of the day, nobody does this just on homegrown talent. The Houston Astros had to go out and sign free agents. And the Orioles have not gone out and made a big splash in free agency. And this winter, a lot of fans were upset because Michael Elias said, we're going to spend money and be active in free agency. And they really weren't. Kyle Gibson was, I think, their biggest headliner. So, again, at the trade deadline this year, people thought maybe they'd make a splash. And, they go and they get Jack Flaherty, who really hasn't been all that great. So I think when you look at it, the next step for them, certainly their big weakness this year, the immediacy, is that starting rotation and improving it. But what I want to see and what I remain unconvinced about is ownership going to commit to signing stars? Because you put 2 or 3 really good pitchers on this team, and I don't think anybody in baseball can compete with them right now, right? But are they going to be able to do that? Because as good as their farm system has been, they don't have the same quality of pitching prospects, right? They're churning out hitter after hitter. They're going to have to trade away some of these hitters, some of these infielders in particular. They have too many. It's not like that with pitching. They have to go. They have to sign some starting pitching. And that is a huge question right now for an ownership group that really has been disappointing in many fronts. And right now is locked into a fight with the city because they want a better deal on a lease agreement at Camden Yards. So it's really going to be interesting to see how that plays out over this winter.
You know what else is going to be really interesting to see how it plays out? We're talking to Britt Ghiroli from The Athletic, talking a little Orioles baseball. What else is going to be interesting to see how the division finishes? Right now, they've got a 3-game lead on Tampa Bay, 7.5 up in Toronto. I mean, they're a playoff team. I wonder what Oriole fans, what ownership's happy regardless. I mean, they're going to the playoffs, period. But an Orioles fan that let's say you win the division and you get in and you're out in the first round. I mean, are they going to look at that as a successful season based on, all the things you just talked about, not spending money, not having the big superstar arms? I mean, it's going to be tough to win in October if that doesn't happen.
Right. I think if that scenario you played out happened this year, most fans would be okay with it because they didn't think they were going to be that good this year, right? They thought their window really started next year. So that's why I think the pressure is going to be all this winter. This team knows that they're ready. They know they're good. They're ahead of their timeline. You could make the case, and I certainly did, that they should have made a bigger splash at the trade deadline, right? But, if they want to play the safer route, they want to, see how long they can take this window, that's fine. But you can't, there is no excuse at all for not going out and signing star free agents this winter. There is just none. And I think the fan base, after being upset last winter, will be 10 times more angry if that doesn't happen, because this is now it. And every year that you don't compete, every year that you don't build a World Series winner is another year that you are wasting of Adley Rutschman, of Gunnar Henderson, of these young core guys that you're just not going to be able to keep all of them.
Let me ask you, Britt, is your mom a Padres fan, if she's listening to this station?
She is. My whole family is. They were all at the game last night.
Okay, so they're all Padres fans, and you're a national baseball writer. So I'm sure they've asked questions like that we've gotten all year. Try to explain what's happened to the San Diego Padres. What do you tell your family when they go, why is this team not performing better given their collection of stars, given their ERA, given their runs scored? Why is this? What do you tell your family?
Well, they ask you because they listen to us and we have no explanation. So
it's brutal. Actually, for a while, my mom, she's like, I can't watch them. It's not good for my mental health.
Yes,
So
we
she
hear
had
it all
like
the
taken
time.
a few weeks break.
Hear it all the time.
And then I told Don Arcillo that. She's like, don't tell people that.
Well, now you just told everybody.
I know. She only sees us up there, Weathered fan. But, I think her and many people in the San Diego area, I'm always amazed every time I visit about the support they get from the whole city, live and die with the wins and losses. And, I think lately in particular, when you have a team that was like fringy at the trade deadline, are they going to sell? Are they going to buy? When they determine, hey, we're going to go for it, we're going to push our chips in, you get excited, and I think a lot of people, myself included, kind of liked the moves they made, right? Yeah. It was kind of as good as you thought that they could do because most of the answers lie on that roster already, that very expensive star-laden roster. So I think what's really been disappointing is this entire month. Is watching these games slip away, right? Is watching parts of that Arizona series and saying, like, how is this possible, right? Like, who is to blame? That's what I think when I watch these games and we talk about the Padres, like, who is to blame? The offense. Certainly they're underperforming, but how, right? And why? And I think that really nobody has an answer for that. Is this a poorly constructed roster? Well, yes, it has to be on some level because depth has been an issue. The bullpen has been shaky and, AJ Preller had a lot of money to work with and hasn't been able to really have a winner. So certainly some blame falls on him. Does it fall on Bob Melvin, who really had been so good, as Dennis Lynn wrote this morning, in close games and extra innings and walk-offs and one-run games. And this year they just can't get it done. Is it luck? Sure, some of it is luck. Some of it is injuries at bad times. Joe Musgrove, it seems like, can't stay healthy, right? So I think it's just a confluence of factors. And they still flummox me because if they go and they win 7 in a row, that also wouldn't surprise me. I think people are still waiting for that.
We are.
But at what point when they haven't even won 3 in a row, right? Or 3 in a row is their max. Like,
yeah, 3 is their max. Yeah.
Yeah. At what point, and this is like the New York Mets, what point are you like, okay, this team just is what it is, right? This is just a team that is just mediocre at best. And I think, maybe they're approaching that territory where they have a game that makes you feel like, all right, here they go. Like, this was a great win. And then they have a game that they should have won that they lose. And it seems like that has happened more often than not. And, if this were June, I'd say, well, there's plenty of time, but it's not. It's mid-August and they are absolutely running out of time. I mean, they need a 7-8 game win streak or I don't see how they get to the playoffs. There's too many teams in front of them that are playing well.
We said it so many times in June, April, May, June. Guys, relax. It's fine. There's plenty of baseball left.
120
There's 120 games to go.
But
it's been a confounding one. Wanted to ask you this too regarding one of the Orioles AL East opponents. Rough week. We just talked about it with the for the Tampa Bay Rays. Obviously, with the Shane McClanahan news, their 4th pitcher to undergo major elbow surgery this season, and he's obviously a huge part of that rotation. But then, of course, the very odd Wander Franco story that is kind of bubbling up every single day. What can you tell us about what's going on with the Rays and Wander Franco?
Yeah, it's really unfortunate on all accounts, guys. I mean, MLB found out the same way we all found out on Twitter.
Yep.
Tampa Bay found out the same way we all found out. So, MLB is investigating that. The reports yesterday were that there was another issue that the Attorney General's office in the Dominican Republic is investigating. I did confirm that yesterday via email with them. So I would assume MLB is investigating that and everything they possibly can when it comes to something like this. What is so interesting to me is if this is true, and Wander has denied it, and that we have a long ways to go,
Yeah.
but how does this happen, right? How does this behavior go unchecked for this long? Are sort of some of the questions that I have regarding it. I think it's sad. Certainly, I think when you look at Tampa Bay and you look at a guy like Wander Franco, he was the number 1 prospect in all of baseball for years. He was as big as it gets. He was the guy who Tampa Bay finally was like, you know what, we're going to pay you. We're going to lock you up $182 million guaranteed deal, by far the largest for that organization. And then I felt like this year, you kind of like some stuff kind of leaked out. There was a fight with Randy Arozarena, who's his teammate. There was him being benched for not being a good teammate. There were little inklings that like maybe the guy who was the face of the Rays wasn't quite this darling that we had all painted him to be, right? And so I'm just so fascinated as to whether this is true or not, how this has impacted the Rays clubhouse internally. how this has, been something that they've had to deal with, right? I think when you look at a team that's fighting, and they're certainly fighting, and part of the reason they have guys who are hurt all the time is they are a low budget team. So they take risks on guys with checkered injury past, hoping they won't get hurt again, right? And obviously this year, it seems like that has not worked more than any other year. Everybody they get keeps getting hurt again. But that is what they have to do. That is who they are at this low payroll. But Wander Franco was supposed to be the guy for them. He was supposed to be the guy that everybody could recognize, that baseball fans wanted to watch. And, if this is a guy who, if this is true, I mean, his career could be over, right? So it's just such a confounding situation, such a sad situation. I think no matter what the outcome is here, that we have to talk about this instead of talking about, baseball and the division races and things like that. And can Tampa Bay hold on and hang on to that wild card spot? But it's a really sad situation. And I have no doubt MLB is going to investigate it thoroughly. I think they have a long history of really digging into these things and doing the right thing. It's just unfortunate that it feels like every season something like this pops up 100%. And kind of takes us beyond the game,
Great stuff from Britt Ghiroli. You can follow her at Britt, BRITT_Ghiroli, GHIROLI. Britt, appreciate the time. Thank your family for listening as well. And hopefully we'll get to catch up with you again soon.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Britt Ghiroli from The Athletic on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. I actually think something clicked for me when she was talking about the Padres. I will explain what she made me see just a moment ago when we come back with Bennett Woods. Don't go anywhere. It's San Diego's. Oh, and we got some Padres tickets to give away in our next segment as well. So stay tuned for that.
Is it run differential? Is that what you're going to say?
No, it's not at all. Okay. It's about actually.
Are you sure?
Baking. Like a cake. Coming up next after
Take
traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
Bring the gold.
I think it's human nature to look for the one main explanation for something. Correct?
Sure.
Padres are failing because they're not hitting in the clutch. Well, that's certainly part of it. But we just had Britt Ghiroli on from The Athletic. And as she was talking about, all the different little things that go into it, I realized that maybe we are chasing an unattainable solution to the Padres' problems this season. That really, my wife does some baking, and sometimes, like you make a cake and it doesn't turn out right, and you don't really know why. It's a good baker; they know what they're doing. They know how to make a cake. They've made many cakes before, and they've all turned out well. You think you bought good ingredients. You think your oven's working right. You put it in. You do all the steps correctly. You take it out, and it just doesn't taste right. It just didn't taste right. You may find out later, well, maybe the yeast you used to just kind of been not quite as effective as it used to be. And I looked at the oven and the calibration was off by a few degrees. It wasn't 400. It was only at 380. So it didn't bake quite correctly. And, you know what? I thought I mixed it correctly, but I didn't stir it quite enough. Sometimes just a lot of just little things that are off ruin the product in the end.
I like your analogy. That being said, in your analogy, though, there's one thing you forgot, that this cake has been made and came out wrong for like 7 out of 9 years. So out of 9 attempts to bake the cake, 7 of them have been crap.
Okay, yes. And I know we talked about it and how the Padres have not been clutch.
Maybe you're not a good baker.
Maybe you're just not a good baker.
But to be fair, no one expected anything from the 2016, 17, or 18 teams, honestly. I mean, the talent level on those teams were such that you expected those teams to fail. You
Correct.
knew you had bad ingredients for your cake those years.
You actually wanted them to fail because then you could get better draft picks.
Right.
And how did that go?
You bought poor ingredients for those cakes.
Right.
And you knew you had bad ingredients.
Correct. No problem. And you served some really crappy cupcakes for a kid's birthday party. And then, but you know what it did allow you to do? It allowed you to buy very expensive ingredients. And what did you pick? Not the right ones. Again, I said it yesterday in my call. I don't know if you picked up on it, but for the second time in 10 days, I watched 2 guys drafted, Ryan Weathers, absolutely bend this team over. Bend them over. Gunnar Henderson and Logan Gilbert. But
my point is, you may have pretty decent ingredients. I think the Padres have good ingredients for their cake.
I thought that this would be the best cake I've ever eaten this year.
Right.
Absolutely. And I looked at the ingredients. I went, this is going to be the best cake I've ever had.
But when you've put them all together and mixed them all up and put them in the oven and taken them out, it hasn't turned out quite right. And you can't pinpoint necessarily, that egg I put in, that was a bad egg.
Right.
Because there's no specifically bad ingredient on the Padres. Oh, yeah, they've had some players that haven't worked out. Certainly the seasoning of the seasoning of Nelson Cruz and Matt Carpenter turned out to really just be spoiled and not what you were hoping for. But the main ingredients, the bulk of your cake, the flour, the sugar, the milk, you've got some really good ingredients there that have been tested over and over again, proven in cakes before.
Sure, but Dave here says the cake isn't done yet. You're giving your opinion on the taste of a cake that is still baking. Season isn't over.
You do taste as you go if you're a good chef. I don't know about starting
cake.
Cake, maybe not.
If it's spaghetti sauce, you get the bread.
Cake batter ice cream. That they do now. You can have cake batter.
Yeah, I like the analogy. I do, but again, man, it's been. But
I'm sure there's been something a little wrong with the oven, and I'm sure maybe the mixer was just a little bit broken. I think it's more a lot of different things. It's not that AJ doesn't know what he's doing. It's not that Bob Melvin is a terrible manager. It's not that Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. aren't clutch performers or can't do it over the course of the season. But all of those little mistakes and deficiencies have come together and put together, at least at this point, a cake that ain't worth eating, right, for the San Diego Padres.
So far, yeah. Yeah,
and maybe they can save it with a really good frosting in these last 6 weeks or so of the season. But that's going to have to be one hell of a frosting. I mean, we're talking the buttercream of the
VGs,
century
baby.
here.
Yeah, it's VGs all over.
If they're going to save this cake of a season. because when you have 3 and 4 months of ingredients that are going wrong, it's very tough to save the cake at that point.
No doubt.
That's my cake analogy
I
for
liked
you
it.
this morning.
I liked
Inspired.
I liked it more than I thought I would.
By Britt Ghiroli.
Well, I mean, I love cake, so
take the cake. I like pie actually better.
How did you gain all the weight?
I like pie better as well.
Flakier crust.
Mm-hmm. Fruits in there. Yeah.
Now, I do like a moist cake.
If you're gonna have cake, it's imperative that it's moist.
We just lost like 3/4 of our audience.
Somebody just wrecked their car.
Agreed.
We'll
I
come
like
back.
cream pies. too.
Adam Jones
Banana
likes
cream pie.
cake.
Delicious.
Yes, I've said before I like a good cream pie.
Yeah.
Can we just give away these Padres tickets for the love of
Oh,
God?
yeah. Padres tickets. We've got tickets for tomorrow's game against the Diamondbacks, series opener. I'm going to go out and say it. It's a must-win series for the Padres coming up. Absolutely must-win series.
Really, Professor?
Yes.
That would make tonight.
That'd make 14 must-win series in a row.
No. I didn't say tonight was must-win. In fact, if they lost, I'm not saying it's over.
Series.
If you lose the series to the Diamondbacks and lose more ground, it's absolutely over. You must win this series coming up.
Diamondback series.
The Diamondback series that starts tomorrow. We got tickets for the fourth caller, 833-288-0973. Keep summer going. Go to Padres.com. There are tickets for this homestand. There are great giveaways. Is tomorrow the hoodie? Today's the hoodie. Today's the hoodie.
Today's the hoodie.
But there's giveaways all over the place. Check out the website, Padres.com, for tickets. But call now and win. Adam Jones, back in Spain, trying to make his way home, will join us next on 97.3 The Fan. Well, his American adventure is now complete. I'm sure he's got some travel stories for us. We got Adam Jones standing by. Do you want to do traffic first quickly, or should we just get right to AJ? It's up to you, Paulie. You got to make the decision, though, right now.
Traffic.
We're going to do traffic, and then you'll hear his music, and we will talk to Adam Jones next year on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Tannick.
Turned out to be a pretty busy morning, guys. All we've got now, though, is this one accident in the clearing stage on northbound side of the 805, just past Governor. Everything is over to the right shoulder, so just take it extra carefully. Move over a lane if it's safe to do so. I'm Kelly Danek with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Well, if this is not commitment, I don't know what is, because you get on a transatlantic flight and you have to go to the baggage claim, customs, baggage claim, passport control, rental car. I don't know that I'd really want to do a radio show after all that, but here he is anyway.
Unreal.
Joining us as he does each and every Wednesday. 5-time All-Star Adam Jones back in Spain. Good morning, or evening, as it were, to you, Adam.
Good afternoon. No, I couldn't miss this. Obviously, the series, the Orioles are in town. It's a 2-for-1 special for me. I don't have to go back and forth to games. I can just watch one game. But it was a great series, and the commitment. You guys owe me a lot of beer, and we're going to drink it up.
Yeah. We do. We owe you a ton. I told Paulie last time. I go, let's just get him some beer. He's like, yeah. Then he's gonna have to lug it around. And I go, all right. When he moves back, like I'll just drop you off a 12-pack every week. Literally, you're right by my house. I'll do it. We'll be fine.
I know beer people. You'll just be on their run. You'll be on the delivery list.
That's exactly right. So you're back in Spain. Where were you?
We went to Lake Como. We went there for 3 to 4 nights, and
How was it?
I found heaven.
Did you see anybody famous there besides yourself?
It's crazy. I ran into Michael Wheatley. He plays NCIS, and we have mutual friends in New York, and we had a great conversation, great energy he had, great storyteller. It was like 20 minutes at breakfast, and that's the only person that I've seen. But we've seen Clooney's house, I guess, where some famous people got married. I don't care about all that.
His name, I just Googled it, is Michael Weatherly. So just make sure you get that right.
Weatherly, there you go. Weatherly. I'm sorry, Weatherly. I got the picture of him. But,
I hope you did.
Weatherly,
Me and my man Michael Wheatley kicking it in Lake Como. Oh, you're such a jester.
That's the perils of being the most famous person in the room.
That's true.
Which Adam usually is.
That place looks absolutely incredible. I don't even think Ben's fancy enough to go to Lake
never been.
Como.
I would love to go.
Oh, it looks beautiful, man. Well, we're glad you're back. I'm glad your mind's still focused on baseball. We were just talking to Britt Ghiroli, who covers the Orioles and writes for The Athletic. And she's incredible. We were talking about, what's made the Orioles so good this year. Brandon Hyde. How well do you know Brandon? I'm interested in that guy.
I know him well. I don't know him great. We've had conversations when he was a coach. And now, with the Cubs. Now he's going to meet the manager. So we've had some communication. I don't know him great, but I know people that know him, and they say he loves the game of baseball. He's a baseball aficionado and just wants to see these guys succeed. He's a big brother to a lot of guys. Obviously, he's a manager, but he's a guy you can talk to and lean a shoulder to lean on.
I asked this about Britt, and I want to ask you the same thing about the Orioles. That we've seen teams like the Astros build through the draft and then keep stars together and turn out great. We've also seen teams like the Blue Jays and the White Sox come with a lot of hype, and then it start to fizzle out or at least not meet expectations. Do you think the Orioles are going to be able to back it up? I mean, we talked about adding a couple of free agents in. She said they need some frontline pitchers to really take this thing to the next level, and she's not sure whether or not they're going to get the backing to do that.
I think they can, just the simple fact that they believe in their individual guys. Again, Baltimore's market is not the craziest market or the sexiest market in terms of free agents wanting to go there. So Houston, that's a destination people would like to go. It's tax-free, it's hot, it's indoors. Houston's a big city. You got Toronto, great city. They can lure free agents there. Chicago, fantastic city. You can lure free agents there. Baltimore's hard to lure guys just because you got New York and Boston, and no one wants to face them on a consistent basis, or Toronto or Tampa. That division is tough. But I think with the balanced schedule now, with you only facing your division 12 times instead of 19, that can lure other guys in because they're like, hey, I don't have to face Judge, Stanton, and all these guys, 40 times a year. I can just get them 25 times, and I can focus on other stuff. So the hardest part is the luring free agents. There's always the thing: are the owners going to spend? That's always a thing of conversation. Will they spend on the free agent market? But the recipe that Hyde has right now and Elias, it works. It's working. He did it in Houston. He's doing it again. And just the crazy thing is can they lure a bigger name to Baltimore to just bolster that team, bolster the roster, and make them a better franchise?
Talking to our pal Adam Jones here on Ben and Woods this morning, and I'll go back to a question I asked Britt as well. What is, in your opinion, I know you do the Orioles podcast. You're a fan though, man. Like you played there. They got your heart. You're rooting for those guys, every single one of them. Mm-hmm. For you, the fan, not the podcaster, not the media personality that you are. What does a successful season look like for you as a fan? Have you already achieved it? I mean, if you win the East, that's a successful year, I would imagine.
100%. Everything right now is a success.
Yeah.
Once Adley got called up, the team started playing a lot better. Everything is a success right now. So obviously, World Series is always the goal. The first day of the year, first day of spring training, everybody's aspiration is the World Series. Most teams obviously understand that they ain't gonna get there, but the Orioles have a great chance to do a lot of special things in the East this year in the American League. The biggest part of it is the fans, me included, understand the pipeline in the minor league system. So it's not like the Orioles are just going to be good this year.
Right.
They got talent coming up, knocking on the door right now, just banging on the door too. And Jackson is trying to be in the big leagues right now.
That kid's unreal at 19.
He's so good. I mean, his brother is good too.
His brother's supposed to be the number one pick. Deep. Yeah. God.
Yeah, they're so deep.
Well, that's what she said. She said they're going to have to trade those guys. She said they have too many hitters. There's too many hitters on that team. They're going to have to trade them.
Which I agree with also. And I was talking to Sabathia about this. He was like, this year you don't do it. But next year, if they're in the same situation, okay, go get somebody. Because, you never want to burst the bubble. You want to prove that you're a winner. There's a lot of teams that are Cinderella stories and then you never hear about them. Don't want that with Baltimore. I want them to have a good year this year and a good year for the next, foreseeable future. And that's the plan that they have going forward. So as a fan, this year is already great. Whatever they continue to win the East and then they get the playoffs, like icing on the cake. But the future is what I think that most fans are really, really excited about, not just the current.
Got a, I don't want to call it an awkward question, but I'm sure you had teammates that were going through some maybe problematic things while you were a player. And I'm thinking about the Wander Franco story that's going on right now. How do you handle that as a player and as a teammate? You always want to have your guys' backs, but what if you don't feel like maybe I shouldn't have this guy's back? Yeah. I don't know what the details are.
I thought about
what's going on.
Like we saw how the team reacted like the day that we got the news about Tatis's suspension last year. They were pissed off. They were not happy, and people had no problem making comments.
Throwing them under
this
the bus.
This is obviously completely different.
But
totally different.
But you still let your team in a pennant race down, and if this was going on, and how do you reconcile that as like a teammate?
Well, Tatis' situation is completely different. That is, individual, doing things that he shouldn't be doing that directly hurts the team. This hurts with Franco's the situation. I don't know everything, so I'm not going to say this and this.
Sure.
Just whatever allegations are out there, that is damning, and that is like criminal. Tatis did nothing criminal. He did something stupid, but he didn't do nothing criminal. Like the same with the pitcher for the Pirates. He's in jail right now. So MLB is going to do their due diligence. It's just so uncomfortable, especially again, there's guys that are doing dumb stuff left and right, and you want to do this. You rarely see this, and as a father, I got nieces and stuff like that. This is when it switches to the parent mode, and I'm not the player right now. This is man to man. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, good point.
You know what I mean? When especially, I always say this: athletes, we have the opportunity to have a lot at our disposal. We can go to different places. We can get ladies. That's probably the easiest way to say it. I ain't gonna beat around the bush. We can get ladies. Go to a Four Seasons bar and pick up the cougar. Okay,
right.
That do something in that regard. But it's an unfortunate situation. But it's not baseball related. This is like with the police and like FBI and like this is a completely different situation. I stay away from it until I know everything about it. I still would talk to him, and I would, as a friend first. Like I wouldn't talk to him as a teammate. I'll talk to him as a friend. Tatis, I'm talking to you as a teammate. Like you did this. Come on, that hurts all of us. This is separate. Like baseball is not the important thing anymore. I'm gonna talk to you as a friend, as a man. What's going on? Let's figure this out. But it's such a bad situation, and I'm very unfortunate. I mean, more details will come out as things always do. I just can't be like, oh, this is that. Like, I want to know. I want to do my due diligence. Also, because I'm not the like the public is. They just say whatever they want, and the Court of Public Appeal? I'm not that. I like to get the details first.
Very good. I like that. That's you're kind of on our side of the business now, and that's a responsible journalistic attitude of you, Adam.
Ben also liked when you said pick up the cougar at the Four Seasons.
Well, I mean,
get the cougar at the
you know what? Everyone involved in that relationship understands what it's all about.
Consenting adults.
It's just, that's just what it is. That's what they're all there for. And you're right, Adam. It's probably a good way to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's again.
I have no experience with this, so.
Yeah, I'm just saying we have access, and like you, it's in every movie you see with athletes, in everything you see with athletes. Like we have the access. Don't use the access for
that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, like
all I can think of is Wild Thing and Mrs. Dorn.
At
the bar.
Suzanne Dorn.
Yeah, Suzanne Dorn.
Got her.
Suzanne Dorn.
Suzanne Dorn.
Go after Dorn's wife. Okay?
I didn't know who she was.
Hey, Jake, see Vaughn.
I swear.
You're the man, dude. Thank you so much. Enjoy Spain. And when will you be back? Any ideas? Playoffs or what?
I will be back. I mean, again, I'm rooting for the Padres to get into the playoffs. 5.5 back of that wild card. Need a hot streak and they can get in there. I'm rooting for them. I don't really want to, if I have a West Coast assignment, I don't want to go to LA. Come on, Padres. I want to come back home. But I'll be around the Orioles a little bit and just get to pick my schedule for the playoffs. But I'm rooting for my Padres, obviously, because, that atmosphere last October was something that, as a fan, I've never got to experience. I was 13 when they were in the World Series, so I didn't get to experience the way I got to. So, Padres, let's go, baby. Come on, get hot and just run off a streak these last 6 weeks and just get into the show, baby.
Shoot a text to Manny today. Just say, hey, nice work last night. Let's keep it rolling. Just something. Just keep the good vibes going, man.
I texted him the other day. He said, we did our pitchers meeting. Everybody on their team throw hard as hell. And I'm like, yeah, get that toe down, buddy. Get it down, buddy.
Get that toe down. That's fantastic. Thank you, bro.
Have a good week, man. That is Adam Jones on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads.
Interesting stuff. I mean, yeah, he was talking about Matt Holliday's kid, Jackson, who every day the numbers he's putting up as a 19-year-old.
Dude, his brother, though, I just saw him on a list yesterday, and I go, wait, I thought Jackson Holliday was over. Oh, no, this is his brother. There's another one.
I legit considered DMing Matt Holliday. Not about home plate. What are you serving your children? How did this happen? Matt Holliday was a really good baseball player. But these dudes, his son Jackson is such a huge prospect. And you watch him play, Paulie, he is dominating guys. I mean, dominating guys. Both power, both sides, can pick it, the whole thing. What are you feeding those kids?
Do we have more children of MLB players nowadays than we did in like the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s?
It feels like there's a ton right now.
I mean, Tatis, Guerrero, Biggio.
When I was growing up, it was Dale Berra. Remember him? It was Yogi's kid.
Yeah.
Dale Berra. There was
Brett Boone. In the early
Boone.
2000s.
Boone was one. That was more your era, but like me and Ben in the 80s.
Later, we had Tony Gwynn Jr. There were definitely a few.
None of them were like superstars, though. right? Like in the 80s,
you had more brothers. You had like the Necros, and
the Canseco brothers, Ozzy and Jose
brothers going on. But yeah, it feels like there's a ton of kids of major leaguers. Speaking of the prospects, Kylie McDaniel just came out with his new pro prospect rankings for ESPN Insider this morning. Jackson Holliday is number 1, but checking in at number 10, Jackson Merrill of the Padres.
Got our own Jackson.
And checking in at number 9, Ethan Salas of the Padres.
Beautiful.
Paul Skeens is 8. Dylan Cruz, who you like to confuse with Paul Skeens, is
Paul
7.
Cruz and Dylan Skeens.
Wyatt Langford of the Rangers, 6. Junior Caminero, I love that name, of the Rays, is number 5, third baseman. James Wood, former Padre, number 4 with the Nationals.
It's a homer a game.
Jackson Chorio of the Brewers is number 3, and Colson Montgomery of the White Sox is number 2. Oh, and just outside the top 10, number 11, Marcelo Mayer.
Oh, yeah.
San Diego kid. For the Red Sox, shortstop at number 11. They're all in the top tier, the 60 FV tier. So, Padres now with 2 of those in the top 12 there is a good sign.
Sure.
I mean, somehow AJ is rebuilding a fairly impressive farm system without having the highest of draft picks and trading away a bunch of guys, and still they're rising up in everybody's rankings, which, again, doesn't win games for you on the big league level, but it is good when it comes to the desirability of players. If you ever want to make more trades, you at least have to have guys that other teams are interested in, and the Padres once again
have those
are putting those together. At least on the high level. So. He's got on the others of note, Robbie Snelling and Dylan Lesko. So those are pretty much the big 4 of Padres prospects right now.
Very good. And tonight, of course, Blake Snell, would love to see him. I know Mudd was wearing him out on the broadcast. We have not gotten Blake Snell in like 2 years. Mudd and Don get him 2 times a week. And he's great. He's fantastic every time he's on. Mudd was wearing him out about his walks. And he's like, yeah, my dad wears me out about my walks too. I got to quit walking, guys. And Mudd's screaming like, just throw your fastball, dude. Nobody's going to hit your fastball.
They're so unpredictable because he looks like he's completely locked in, and then he'll walk a guy on 4 pitches, and you go, what just happened? I mean, you're nails. You were getting ahead of everybody, wiping them out, and then ball 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he'll come back and he'll strand the runner. It's weird, though, how they happen.
It's been a bit of abracadabra with him his last few starts, but, I mean, he's got the abracadabra type stuff, so just keep doing what you're doing, man. If you could walk fewer guys, that'd be great, because then you get a little bit more length out of Blake Snell. But no Padres fans, don't expect him to go 8 innings today.
Woodsy's on the Padres under and the Orioles plus 165.
I think that's probably
they scored 10
bet.
yesterday.
I think that's probably a safe bet for you guys.
We'll see if history repeats or it changes.
Not me. I don't bet.
We'll be back tomorrow morning at
should.
6 a.m. to talk about all of it. Saris as well. Coach is coming up next for executive producer Paul Reindl, for Stephen Woods. I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Wednesday from all of us here at 97.3 The Fan. So long.